All right, good evening and welcome everyone. Thank you so much for tuning in. You are watching live Magic the Gathering action. We're broadcasting from Mox Boarding House in Seattle. This is weekly Legacy Night here. Michael Tessier, Jordan Isaka in the booth for you. Thanks for joining us. Jordan, who we got on the docket tonight?
Man, we got 4 rounds of hard-hitting Legacy action coming to you from Mox Boarding House, Ballard, and right off the cuff, there's a bunch of names, a bunch of people that we recognize.
I want to get Greg Mitchell in the house.
Okay.
I want to get Greg Mitchell, table 3, on our feature match. Why do you ask?
Starts again?
Because I want to see
Table 3, sir.
I want to see the Greg Mitchell brew in
Oh,
action.
my goodness. This is going to be an absolute treat.
He's been brewing.
Yes, sir.
He's been brewing.
Yes,
now he's
sir.
playing against Casey Locke. What's
Yeah.
Casey going to be playing? You have any idea?
I'm not quite sure.
Okay.
I'm not super familiar with Casey Locke as an individual player.
Yeah.
Could be out of a state or could be a new Legacy player.
Okay. Looking forward to this matchup. Folks, thank you for tuning in. You're tuned in to Card Kingdom's weekly Legacy action. We are going to bring you 4 rounds, like Jordan mentioned, and a lot of cool stuff happening in Legacy right now. Completely wide open format.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Although there is a chatter in our Twitch chat right here that would argue otherwise. Mr. Josh Monks, famous Grixis control player, he would say that Grixis is the way to go.
Wow.
So,
Josh has had a number of great finishes
Oh
with
my
Grixis
goodness.
locally, of course. You're saying?
yeah, you want to talk about a player that you don't want to face going into top 8 or in top 8. I would say that Josh Monks certainly ranks among the top players right now. It's just an absolute terrifying player to play against and just knows the mechanics, knows the lines. He's smooth as silk.
Yeah. Josh has always been a great mechanical player and really is making a great metagame call with
yes.
Grixis control over and over again here, trying to outvalue, outgrind all the other resource decks.
That being said, I am really excited about Greg Mitchell and the brew that he's bringing to the table. I will say I do know a little bit about what he has been playing in the last couple months, like maybe
Yes.
2 months ago.
Yes.
He's been playing the Saheeli combo with it's a Caracal, I think. I'm not quite sure exactly what that card is, but it is an infinite damage combo, and it's just an awesome thing to behold. It combos really fast. He gets to play Stoneforge Mystic as well, so
Really
it'll be a treat.
exciting. We get to see Cat Combo in Legacy in the hands of none other than infamous brewer Greg Mitchell. If you are a fan of combo brews, if you liked such hits as Tin Fins, Return of the Onion Burst,
Or-
Phazon Mutant Greg Mitchell himself in the house.
Yes, sir. And he also was one of the pioneers of that Omni Science or the Omni Science or the Miracle of Science combo deck.
Miracle of Science, mashing together Miracles and Omniscience Sneak and Show. And we'll get those names updated for you. On the right, we've got Greg Mitchell, and on the left, we have Casey Locke. And we're about to see some sweet Magic action. Thank you so much for tuning in tonight. We got Josh Warmonks in the house, Wrestling and Turtle Twinkle. Thank you so much for watching. If you're in chat as well, let us know you're out there. Say what's up. You are part of our Legacy Card Kingdom Mox Boarding House community tonight. Miracles of Science, Bizarro Stompy, and other one-hit wonders. That's right, Greg Mitchell, Phazon Mutant on MTG The Source. On your right, rolling for the play or the draw. Not sure what they decided.
One of the things that's kind of tough for us is we're going to be watching this first round. We're not quite sure if Greg is actually on that CAD combo deck. He could be on a wide range of decks. He was also well known for playing a large amount of Sultai Delver as well, back when that deck was popular.
Yeah.
It looks like he's, oh my goodness, that is a Buried Alive. So I think that's going to tip us off. We're going to know a little bit about what he's playing, sir.
We might see some Buried Alive combo here. Necromancy. What is this monstrosity?
No. I thought that was That's necromancy. That is not buried alive.
That is a necromancy. In what deck are you ever playing necromancy and not just animate dead or reanimate? What could this possibly be?
Oh, this is Blue-White Delver from Casey Lock, the standard.
Nice.
So Greg going up against one of the top tier decks, the top dogs in the format right now. This deck is seeing a lot of play and making a lot of top 8s as well.
There's the animate dead I saw in Greg's deck. He's going to search out a swamp off that polluted delta. Casey Lock with the Blue-White Delver.
And a Fatal Push coming from Greg. Interesting.
My. What monstrosity could this possibly be?
You know what? I have a kind of an idea. A little while ago, Greg actually was messing around with a couple of ideas, and he's got a Baleful Strix now too. So
Baleful Strix in the hand, on play on the board for Greg Mitchell. He's going to pass it back to Casey Lock, playing that Blue-White Delver deck. Very versatile deck.
Very flexible. A lot of different builds as well. I've seen Blue-White Delver play Delver Secrets Daze and Jace the Mind Sculptor all in the same deck.
Right, absolutely. It can switch kind of from a fast tempo deck to trading blow for blow with those more grindy, value-oriented decks.
Absolutely.
And there's a Delver Secrets for Casey, a second one after that Fatal Push from Greg. And he's going to crack this Flooded Strand.
I got to say, I really like Greg's position here. He was able to go ahead and answer the first Delver with 1 mana, as well as set up a nice blocker in Baleful Strix.
Yeah, ponders the follow-up from Casey, and it looks like Greg has no response to this. Greg, of course, with that commanding board presence thanks to Fatal Push and Baleful Strix. What's Casey looking for out of this ponder?
You know, I really think he's looking for a card like Stoneforge Mystic, just a way for him to get the advantage rolling. Potentially, if he can find one of his over-the-top cards, like True Name Nemesis or Jace the Mind Sculptor, it would certainly give him an advantage in the mid-game.
True Name Nemesis would be a big game, and there is Greg showing off the hand. Entomb, Necromancy, and Animate Dead all in hand.
You know what I think this deck is? I think this deck is World Gorger Dragon.
I think you're right. A completely unseen combo deck. Extremely
rare.
But of course, in the hands of Greg Mitchell, you don't know what you're gonna get.
You really don't. You know, he's played, like we said, he's played the Saheeli combo as well. But just, I mean, if you look at all of the reanimation spells that Greg is playing, he's got permanent based reanimation spells.
Yeah.
So that kind of leads its way to playing some sort of dragon combo.
That's going to be the World Gorger, and here is the Entomb, and the jig is going to be up. Casey Lock. If Casey Lock is a legacy aficionado, he'll know what's coming up next.
Yeah.
But at this point, it's not that clear. Baleful Strix,
yeah.
Swamp, Island.
You know what? Greg was telling me actually that one of the things that happens when you're playing this style of deck, you actually just go for Griselbrand more often than not.
Okay.
Only because you want to, once you get a Griselbrand in play, you just have a value target.
Sure.
You're able to go ahead and just control.
Yeah.
Oh, I like this. This is so sick.
Okay, so that Entomb got Force of Will, pitching a Ponder from Casey Lock. And now on the stack is an Animate Dead. And Greg has targeted Casey's previously pushed Delver of Secrets, and now Greg has a 0-1 wizard on his side of the board.
Yeah, and of course, Delver of Secrets can be really powerful. It's a 2/2 flyer, and certainly trades with other Delver of Secrets here.
Spell Pierce on the top of the library is going to flip that Delver of Secrets for Casey, and he's got a Brainstorm in hand as well, so he's not completely dead here. He's got a way to claw back into this game.
He certainly does. I think it'd be really important if he could find a card like Sword of Fire and Ice. That would be probably the biggest game-breaking card he could be playing.
And just as you said it, there's the answer. Stoneforge Mystic hitting the table for Casey, and he's going to search up, I think, Sword of Fire and Ice.
Yeah, if he has access to it, he will certainly go and grab Sword of Fire and Ice. It's also likely that he could get Batterskull and GT. They're certainly not bad in this position, but of course the overwhelming card that he could potentially have.
It's going to be a Batterskull. Interesting in the face of that Baleful Strix. What are your thoughts there?
You know, my thoughts are that he just doesn't have access to the correct the equipment suite that he wants.
Okay.
And he's just going to go ahead and get the most value that he can for the most mana.
Okay. So Casey, with a resolved Stoneforge Mystic, got that Batterskull, and there is a Hymn to Turok flip for Greg Mitchell. A 3-2 for Greg. And he's just going to fire off this Hymn. There it is.
Actually, a 2/2. Very hilariously.
Excuse me, a 2/2. You're absolutely right.
A flying, oh my gosh, flying grizzly bears, I suppose you could call it. But Wow, this is pretty crazy.
If we set, and there's a Spell Pierce
And a
pitch for a
force.
Force of Will from Casey. He wants to keep that Batter Skull. And if we told you there would be a 2-2 flyer in play today, you would say Thief of Sanity.
What is that? Oh, Thief of Sanity. That's true.
You would say
That's
Thief of
true.
Sanity. But no, this is an animate deaded Delver of Secrets flipped.
Yeah, and
2-2 flyer.
you're only going to get interactions like that when you come down to Mox Boarding House, Seattle, when you play here on Monday nights versus Greg
So
Mitchell.
cool. And there comes a swing from Greg. Casey down to 15. And here's the thing, is that week after week, we get these 30-people tournaments. 40 people tonight almost, right?
Yeah,
38 people tonight.
it's incredible.
And that gives folks like brewers like Greg the flexibility, and there's a brainstorm from Casey, the flexibility to experiment with different decks and not feel like this is their one shot at Legacy.
Yeah.
One of the great things about playing here.
I will say that Greg has experimented with World Gorger Dragon, or Dragon as it was previously known as. Yeah, Greg is currently looking at Gristlebrand and Narcomancy
Necromancy, yeah.
in hand. So
Yeah.
he has, flirted with this deck before. But I will say that right now it's looking like it's doing its job. It's kind of interesting.
Yeah, what's interesting is kind of Greg loves to play these combo decks with these sort of half measures in them.
Oh,
Baleful
yes.
Strix, for example, and Fatal Push. He really likes to include these answers to faster creature decks, and it's lining up pretty well against Casey so far. But here comes a Batter Skull from Casey. That's going to get mysticked in.
Yeah.
At end of turn, as Greg drew and passed. 3 cards in hand for Greg. Necromancy, Grizzlebrand, and a mystery card.
I think he pulled maybe Animate Dead. I'm not exactly sure, but in Greg's position, it's looking a little bit tough right now. He's going to need to find some solid outs in order to claw out of this one.
Yeah, absolutely. Not sure. It's a bit of a stalemate. Not sure what Casey is going to do to move through this Baleful Strix brick wall. He needs to find a Swords to Plowshares, actually.
Yeah, I certainly think so. Also, Greg can just go ahead and trade down the line and go Strix for Batterskull and Delver for Delver, and it would force Casey to go ahead and spend more time in order to get his Batterskull reestablished. I think it's an okay line. Greg's not really under a tremendous clock, and his win con is infinite damage. So,
Sure, right,
or
absolutely.
infinite milling, I think.
Yeah. And there is the block with the Baleful Strix on that Germ Token down. So now Casey's going to have to go through the whole song and dance to get that Batterskull back in play. He only has 3 mana, of course, so if he spends any now, he won't be able to bounce it.
That's absolutely right. So he has to go ahead and be very careful about what he wants to do, what he wants to prioritize here. I think that Batterskull is certainly the priority here. And there is an opportunity or a chance that Greg could strand that Batterskull in hand if he's able to go ahead and pick off that Stoneforge Mystic at the end of Greg's turn.
Sure, that would be a big-time play. Not sure what that third card is for Greg. Here comes Casey with a Brainstorm.
Okay.
Casey is likely hoping just for some more board presence, or do you think he needs protection as far as insulating himself against this combo?
You know what's really interesting? I think he's found his 4th copy of Force of Will, so that's going to be kind of insane.
Oh my goodness.
Just a lot of protection for him going through and being able to go ahead and clock down his opponent.
Yeah.
That being said, Blue-White Delver doesn't really have the reach that, the Blue-Red Delvers or the Rug Delvers or even the Grixis Delvers had.
Sure, yeah.
So closing the game out is going to be, Greg's going to be able to see it coming. He knows when Lethal's going to be on the table.
Yeah, and here comes Greg. Back to Greg's turn. Necromancy, targeting Baleful Strix. What a play.
This
and
is
what
pretty
is
crazy.
Casey going to choose here? Are you countering this? Are
I
you
mean-
Force of Willing this Necromancy?
I mean, it's really insane because, Animate Dead on Baleful Strix is just a cycle, and then you get a free block, but you don't get their Death Touch because it gives it -1 attack.
Right, yeah.
Necromancy, on the other hand, it's nice because Necromancy is going to give Greg the draw step as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And let's get Necromancy up there. It's got a lot of text.
It certainly does.
Visions.
What a set.
Visions was a great set. I still remember the smell opening up Visions cards. Anyway,
Oh, yeah.
this Necromancy is going to resolve, and Greg goes ahead and draws. Not sure what the draw was. There's a fetch with the Bloodstained Mire.
Greg still had a really healthy life total. It's important to remember that Casey does not have a way to win the game outside of combat.
And this Baleful Strix is a bit of a haymaker. Another board stall for Greg, holding Casey off just like he wanted, just like he drew it up.
Yeah, and again, his win condition is either a 7/7 flying lifelink, which is bigger than Batter Skull ever will be,
Yeah.
or it's infinite damage. So, I think that's a fatal push as well. So,
big time draw for Greg. Ponder is going to yield a fatal push. And we'll see if he just fires that off now before Casey has a chance to bounce this Batter Skull or do anything strange.
and what Greg might actually do with his fatal push, he might wait for Casey to commit mana to bouncing the Batter Skull, and then go ahead and take his chance there.
Great line available to Greg. Great pointing that out. Back to Casey with the draw. He's going to tap 3, and he...
Nope. Nope. It does
attempting
not,
to equip
sir,
the Batter Skull.
I believe it costs 5 to equip.
Yep. That 3 mana is just for the bounce effect.
Now, what I will say about Casey Locke's deck, he's got some really slick basics. Those are nice
The
ones.
Mirage basics.
The Mirage basics.
I'm a fan as well.
Ooh.
Mirage had this really interesting coding. And there's a true name nemesis.
That is a problem. Greg with the nod. He knows he's in trouble.
So there's an actual clock. No amount of fatal pushes or baleful strix will save Greg from this particular clock.
Correct.
True name nemesis on the board. Now Greg, under some real pressure, is going to have to put this combo together, or that's it.
Yeah.
I don't think there's any other interaction for him with his true name nemesis.
And Greg does have to be careful because once Casey hits 5 mana, there's no going back. There's no way for Greg to stop. Now, really quickly, take a look at the lands that Greg has gone ahead and fetched out. Without us noticing too much, he has that Volcanic Island and that Badlands in play.
Oh my goodness. And there's a chase off the top.
That
Greg
is crazy.
is a madman.
That is crazy.
He's got not just Baleful Strix, not just Fatal Push, not just the entire World Gorger Dragon or Grizzlebrand, we haven't seen it yet, combo.
Yeah.
But he fit Jace in this deck somehow.
Yeah, it's right there.
There is a Jace the Mind Sculptor from Greg Mitchell.
We're going to see a Force Wheel right away from Casey.
Force is going to pitch that Brainstorm. Casey is hellbent, no cards in hand.
You know what is really interesting about Greg's deck? And there's a lot of parallels and similarities that can be drawn from this deck to Grixis Phoenix. Actually, that is probably the reason why he's trying this out. If the meta is good for Phoenix, then potentially it could be good for Dragon.
Oh, and there's a swing with that 2/2. Delver of Secrets, not sure why he chose to do that.
That was weird.
Okay, well, perhaps he... Oh, that's the Fatal Push. Okay, there it is. Yeah.
And I think the reason why he's doing that is Greg realizes there's only so many opportunities that his Fatal Push is going to be good. He might have to race, but if Casey hits 5 mana, then equip Batter Skull on True Name. That might be game.
Right. Okay, so Greg is opting to try to race here. Using that Fatal Push on... And perhaps he ultimately wanted to save the Fatal Push for the Stoneforge Mystic, hoping for a trade instead.
Yeah, correct.
Yeah, that's logical. Here's 3 from Casey. Greg Mitchell's down to 14. The clock is ticking. 5 turns left for Greg to find this combo. Greg has no cards in hand.
Yeah, it looks like... Yeah, so Casey's going to go ahead and point something out for us. I think Greg just drew another blank, so not extraordinarily exciting here. Unfortunately, Greg would actually love... Oh, that is the lighthouse.
Is that a desolate lighthouse?
Desolate lighthouse right now.
And Greg, excuse me, one correction. Greg has 2 cards in hand, and he's got this desolate lighthouse active now.
I think he has a Grizzlebrand as well. He's going to go ahead and draw and discard, and this is huge.
Oh my!
Is it a stroke of
genius for the win too? Grizzlebrand. Grizzlebrand in the graveyard off the lighthouse. Anime dead on Grizzlebrand, and we're about to see.
Oh my goodness!
An unbelievable turn of events for Greg.
Crazy rip. 6/7 flyer lifelink. I think Greg is considering drawing 7 here. I mean, why not, right?
I think it is reasonable. Here's going to be a swing from Delver of Secrets. Casey down to 14. Pass, says Greg.
Oh,
there's a bounce of the Batter Skull at the end of turn. Back to Casey. Casey's draw. 3 cards in hand, one of them's Batter Skull, and a freshly drawn card. Stroke of genius in hand for Greg. He's shown it off to us.
So crazy. Tap 3. Oh!
Unbelievable. It's a Council's Judgment, and Greg is definitely going to draw here, looking for a Force of Will. He needs to protect this Grizzlebrand, or it's pretty much GG.
I think if Greg can reload and find the combo, that would be,
That's okay.
That would be okay. I think right now he's just kind of going, well...
Yeah. Pair of Brainstorms, pair of
Yeah.
Entombs were part of that draw 7, and there goes the Grizzlebrand.
Wow, this is
Exiled.
an absolutely crazy game.
Swing for 3. Greg's down to 4. Clock is at 2. 2 turns left for Greg to reestablish this combo. He did just draw a fresh 7.
Now, what I want to say, though, is if Casey left that land in play, if he let Batterskull in play, he could potentially untap and find the land, the fifth land, and attack for lethal. So he potentially could have cut his chances down into hitting a top deck with Batterskull.
There's an
Okay.
Entomb from Greg.
Well, here we go. Here comes the absolute craziest part.
Are we going to see the World Gorger?
Yes, sir. There it is.
Let's bring this up for folks at home. World Gorger Dragon.
Oh,
from Judgment. Well, let's bring up the newest wording, actually.
Rock the Dragon, baby. Oh, you thought you were tuning in just for some legacy action. You didn't think about the spice. The spice.
When World Gorger Dragon... So, let's explain this combo for folks at home.
Okay.
You've got a permanent-based reanimate spell.
Oh. Greg is just doing that.
Yeah. And he says, I'm gonna
stroke you.
Give you a genius.
Giant headache.
Okay, so would you please explain this combo for folks at home?
So here's how it works. So World Gorger Dragon, when it comes into play, it takes all of your permanents and removes them from the game. Okay? And when World Gorger Dragon leaves play, it puts all the permanents that were removed by World Gorger Dragon and it puts them back into play.
Yeah.
So what ends up happening is you're using a permanent, specifically an Animate Dead or a Necromancy, which is a permanent that targets World Gorger Dragon. And because that card comes in and out of play with World Gorger Dragon, what Dragon does is it actually untaps all of your things. It just it will give you free mana, and as long as you can win at instant speed, you can actually build infinite mana and then kill your opponent with your World Gorger Dragon mana.
Right. In this case, Greg is choosing Stroke of Genius.
Yeah. The thing about it, though, and what's really interesting about this combo specifically, is when you loop the combo, you have to just tell them how many times you're looping the combo.
Okay.
Right? So that you can loop the combo, and if you can't win, then they go, okay, you've looped the combo, you've this much mana, now what do you target with your spell? So Greg has actually told me that there are certain iterations of this deck where if there are no other targets besides World Gorger Dragon with Animate Dead, the game is a draw.
No kidding. You just draw it.
You can't move past the fact that the circle is continuously going.
I see. So that's why Greg would include creatures like Baleful Strix, because sometimes you need another creature.
That's exactly right. And you saw that there where he was able to reanimate his own cards, reanimate his opponent's Delvers, and just stall long enough so he can go ahead and use the combo. And I think that's really an interesting point, and the reason why this deck is so interesting and different from Phoenix, where Phoenix is looking for that really nice, fast burst of power. This deck can go ahead and control and sit back a little bit, play Hymn to Torok, play Hand Destruction, and then go for a combo then.
Right, yeah. So what Greg is betting on, essentially, is the same bet that these Phoenix decks are making, that you can play graveyard-based strategies and in the new post-Deathrite Shaman world.
That's exactly right. And I think that Dragon is kind of an extension of like an old school. I mean, basically, if you take the different archetypes and hybridize them, you've got aggro, you've got control, you've got combo, right? You remember aggro control, Delver's Secrets, that's aggro control style deck. This deck is more like a combo control deck if you want to hybridize those two concepts.
Which is what Greg loves to play.
Yeah, of course.
If it's not Tin Fins, it's some kind of weird control combo mashup, right?
And if you remember, back when he was playing the Miracle of Science, that was a Miracles-based deck that also played Show and Tell Omniscience. Right, and that was so he was able to control his opponent and wipe the board and stuff, but rather than try to win through multiple turns of card advantage, Greg would just line up Show and Tell Omniscience and then win the game.
Yeah. Very interesting brew here brought by Greg Mitchell that we're seeing on stream. A sort of World Gorger Dragon combo and control deck combined, facing off against Casey Locke. Not a frequent feature of the feature match, but glad to have him here.
Oh, yeah.
Playing Blue-White Delver, and this includes both Delver and Stoneforge Mystic and Jace the Mind Sculptor and True Name Nemesis, so kind of just covering all the bases from early game to late game.
Yeah, one of the things I'll say about Casey Locke's deck, it kind of reminds me a lot of there was this Jeskai Delver deck back in 2013 that Owen Tartanwald won. It was a Grand Prix DC, and he took the tournament down. His sideboard included no less than 4 copies of Meddling Mage, kind of a sick tech on the format. But he was playing 4 Lightning Bolts and 4 Swords as well.
Yeah.
So this is kind of a similar concept. Right, when you're playing Delver and Plow in the same deck, you're going a little bit deeper with Delver, Stoneforge, Daze, that route.
Yeah.
Not so much the whole Wasteland, Stifle style that we've been used to with Rug Delver, or kind of the mid-rangey Delver, Deathrite Shaman, Young Pyromancer style with Grixis.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, let's see, a couple comments in chat. One person said, is that even legal in the continental U.S.? It's not. Someone please call the police on Greg.
Well, the thing is that Dragon was banned until maybe about 4 or 5 years ago, and then there was some unbannings. I actually do remember the day I was playing Legacy, and Dragon was ultimately banned. I'm gonna go ahead
and how about Greg's starting hand here? I see a lot of cantrips and 1 reanimator spell.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure. He's got a Brainstorm as well. It looks like Greg's hand is quite good. He's got Ponder to start us off, so as long as he's not underneath a ton of pressure from Casey Locke, I think he's going to be in good shape to go ahead and execute his plan. Ponder, of course, one of the premier setup spells that he can go ahead and utilize at the early stages in the game. Going to go ahead and shuffle up this Ponder, and I think that I'm certain that Greg made the right choice here.
And there is turn ship back to Casey.
Yeah, he's got that Delta in play. And one of the nice things about playing these Delver-style decks is almost every single land that you play is going to be non-basic. So he can go ahead and utilize any blue fetch or any blue fetch when he's playing his deck, any white fetch to get his planes.
Sure, yeah. There's a Thoughtseize from Greg. That was a follow-up.
One of the things that is really important, that it's important to realize, is that Casey's playing the aggressive deck, and you notice that he went land, and then he went Wasteland you, and then he actually hasn't used his initial mana at all.
So, and there's going to be a Daze from Casey.
Okay, and so he's going to be set back another land, which is actually huge.
Right, he's going to enter turn 3 with 0 lands in play.
Right, and this is actually a really big thing that's troublesome. When the Delver decks have these extraordinarily slow starts, it can actually be really detrimental towards how quickly they can end the game, especially for a deck like Blue-White.
In honor of the C-Lab episode names, this could be Moby Sick. It could be. I like it when they say cinnamon, and this deck has red in it, right?
Yeah.
Kind of like cinnamon.
I just using the Dragon Ball Z reference, Rock the Dragon, because it's so awesome. That song gets me pumped up every time I hear it.
Back to Casey, who started his turn 3 with 0 lands in play after a Wasteland and Daze, and there's a Ponder from Casey. Greg, meanwhile, does have the Underground Sea and a Hymn to Turok in hand. No follow-up land.
He has the Underground Sea in hand, or no?
Underground Sea on the battlefield, no follow-up land.
Oh, I thought that was a...
So Greg is in a little bit of danger here in terms of Brainstorm locking himself. Triple Brainstorm in hand with a Force of Will.
Yeah, the colored mana situation for Greg is certainly not great, and I think that he probably could have maybe he could have risked...
Oh, excuse me, that's a Swamp in play. And there is a Rip. No.
When a player immediately looks at his hand and counts
the number.
Exactly. He's like, do I have to go to discard? Because he knows he's passing back. And that's a mechanics thing. That's one of those things that as you play a lot of Magic, you know what you need to draw, and if you don't draw it, you're just going to ship it.
Sure,
There's nothing you can do.
Exactly. Delver of Secrets, the play from Casey, is going to get met by a Force of Will, pitching Greg's third Brainstorm in hand. No ability to play any blue cards. Greg has just a basic Swamp in play.
That Force of Will actually makes a ton of sense. Usually when you see Force of Will on Delver, it's more of a desperation play, but right there, after Casey has gone the first 3 or 4 turns without any threat, Greg knows the coast is mostly clear.
Yeah. So if he can essentially just play the control deck and keep Casey off of a threat, Casey is telegraphing he has no follow-up threat right
Absolutely.
now.
Yeah, he would have played a Delver on turns 1, 2, or 3 if he could have. Oh, wow.
Wow. An Inferno Titan off the top for Greg, and his past 2 draws were Kolaghan's Command and Inferno Titan. Though that's not what Greg's looking for, but on the lucky side, if Greg draws and has to discard again, he can discard this Inferno Titan and reanimate it later.
That is really true, and Inferno Titan is certainly going to be just a huge basher.
Stoneforge Mystic is the play for Casey, and that resolves. Casey searching for an equipment. Perhaps he has sort of Fire and Ice.
Yeah.
It's going to be a Batter Skull.
I would have thought, and I think that this is a huge tell. If he had access to Sword of Fire and Ice, one of the things that the Delver deck likes to do when it's pressuring its opponent, I mean, Batterskull, Jite, and Sword of Fire and Ice are all good for 4 damage.
Yeah.
The one thing that's important is, Sword of Fire and Ice obviously draws you a card. So
Sure.
if he had access to it, he certainly would have gotten it.
Yeah.
It looks like he just has access to Batterskull.
Just the
here.
2, yeah. And of course Craig looking at his hand again. Of course, the Sword of Fire and Ice also gives you protection from Baleful Strix.
Yes,
which would be
of course.
big time here. There's a Brainstorm off the top for Casey. Casey's got a great hand. Force of Will, double Brainstorm, Batterskull in hand.
Yeah. And it looks like it's going to be a pass, and Greg's going to, and he finds a Lighthouse, but that is a little awkward here.
Oh, the awkwardness of the Lighthouse. Desolate Lighthouse only taps for colorless mana.
Just a little too desolate right there.
Yeah, and it's not going to help Greg cast any of his spells.
Yeah.
He's 1 mana closer to Necromancy, which it could be a thing.
Yeah, he's also 1 red away from being able to cast Kolaghan's Command, which potentially could be important here versus that Batterskull. That being said, I'm just kind of I'm looking at Greg's position right now, and again, it's all based on clock. It's all about, and again, it's mostly about his life total. There's no way he's going to go ahead and beat down Casey.
Sure.
For the most part.
Yep.
So this actually probably should have been a Jite, honestly, because a Jite would allow him to control the board and beat blockers and things like that.
Right. Yeah. Beat the Baleful Strix.
Yeah.
I agree. I think Jite would have been superior here. But we'll take a look what Casey decides here. A 4th land drop for Casey, and the same can't be said for Greg. He is stuck on lands, and that's the story of this game so far. But we have seen Greg beat the clock before. Last game, he found his World Gorger Dragon combo at the very end.
Okay, he finds the fetch. So this is going to be kind of important. I think if I'm Greg here, it's got to be Volk. I don't think he can. Obviously, he can't play around Wasteland anymore, and it's pretty evident that Casey doesn't have access to it either.
Mm-hmm.
So it costs 3 mana to loot, by the way.
3 mana plus tap the Desolate Lighthouse.
Of course,
yeah.
Of course.
So 4 lands total. Greg needs in play to activate that Desolate Lighthouse, and here comes just a swing from the Stoneforge Mystic.
Yeah, I kind of like burning the Kolaghan's Command there, specifically because the Stoneforge is already tapped. So if you can force Casey to bounce the Batterskull, it will take 2 additional turns for him to get it back into play.
Yeah, I like that too. Greg not opting for that. I'm not sure. I think. Do you think Greg has to Brainstorm at end of turn here? Just to be kind of mana efficient and grind through his deck as quickly as possible?
I actually think he needs to play Kolaghan's Command. I think
to
he
buy
should
some
have.
turns.
Yeah, he needs to buy turns, and he needs to buying turns, and also either buying turns or baiting force is what he needs to do. I think.
Well, with this tapped Stoneforge Mystic, it's actually a pretty big game for Greg to roast the Mystic and
that's really important too.
And threaten the Batterskull.
Yeah. So I like where he's going with this, and I think the reason why he didn't fetch or he didn't play that during his opponent's combat step is he didn't want to get wastelanded off of blue again. So this actually makes a lot of sense.
Okay,
but he's going to go with the Brainstorm.
Greg's going with that Brainstorm. Let's see. Greg, I think, wants to go for the combo as quickly as possible. And taking a look at the top 3, I think there's a Jason there, and that doesn't help.
This is just a little crazy. I mean, Inferno Titan's a sweet card, but it certainly doesn't belong in a nice deck like Greg's got with all those FBBs and stuff like that.
Sure.
It looks a little scrubby, It's like, what's going on there?
It might even be a little worse. I'm not sure. It could be
I've played
stroke of genius. So that's even worse for Greg here.
Yeah, that would be a little tough. I will say this. I have played copies of Sun Titan in various blue-white decks.
Yes, you have done that. Is Sun Titan better than Elspeth?
If you're watching at home, everybody, can you go ahead and please vote for your favorite Titan in chat and just let everybody know that Inferno Titan is probably the 4th best Titan out of all the Titans.
Favorite Titan.
Type
it in chat. What's your favorite Titan?
And if you say Sundering Titan, well, that doesn't count.
Mine is Primeval Titan.
That's a good one. That's a really good one.
Primeval Titan's cool, man.
It gets all the lands.
Dude.
All the right ones, too.
Cool. Okay, Greg down to 7, fetching here. He found a 4th land, and there's a bad lands. Take a look at what's next. Sharkula likes the Inferno Titan. Ooh. Alfred likes Prime Time. Rasslin likes Grave Titan.
Oh, I kind of like this. Greg's going to go ahead and try to fish around He wants to know what's going on by Casey.
Okay.
And of course, Casey's going to go ahead and look for some protection here, but this makes a lot of sense. By the way, I'm almost certain that there is a germ token on the Batter Skull.
I agree. Yeah. There
Greg's
is a
got
germ
one more
token.
turn, potentially.
Gui Rocio likes Primeval. Gui Rocio
Okay.
likes Primeval. And,
Very nice.
Fish Liver Oil likes Inferno. So thanks, guys. Thanks, everyone, for
Couple people,
letting us know.
People back in Inferno.
There's that him. Him is targeting Greg. Greg's gonna...
Him is targeting Greg?
Oh, no, excuse me. It is targeting Casey.
My brain almost exploded. Like, what?
The way Greg
and it totally could.
laid it out, it looked like it was his own hand.
It totally could have. I mean, it's target player. So he could have. I mean, if he was a crazy man,
that's cool. That'd be cool, man.
You got to roll the dice.
He's got the necromancy. He's got the Inferno Titan. He's just.
Jeez.
I would have liked that.
Here's the thing.
I'll tell you what.
If this Blue-Eyed Delver deck was actually Blue-Eyed Red Delver, bolt to the face, bang, game.
Sure, I agree. Here's a brainstorm end of turn for Greg. Greg is down to 2. He's got literally just this turn to handle this Batter Skull.
He's working for the money right here.
Now, Greg still has that Kolaghan's Command in hand, so he can use that. I mean,
he has a Pyroblast too. He could have protection here.
Okay.
Guaranteed that Pyroblast is a S-Chinese 5th edition. And if you guys know what that is at home, then props to you. But if you don't, maybe you guys should go do some homework. 5th edition S-Chinese.
Why is that so special? Simplified Chinese.
So S-Chinese was the last set that was printed in 5th edition. And by the time that set came around, they started printing the rarity
Kolaghan's Command during upkeep here.
They started printing rarity symbols with the different colors, like for gold for rare, black for common, silver for uncommon. And so that card specifically, those 5th edition S Chinese, has a 5th edition symbol. It's a V, like a Roman numeral 5.
That's cool.
It's really cool.
Phonics is asking if you actually mean Korean and not Chinese.
No, it's S Chinese.
Okay, nice.
Phonics. It's
nice
S-Chinese.
Okay, so Kolaghan's Command is on the stack, targeting the Stoneforge Mystic for 2 damage and targeting the destroy target artifact on the Batter Skull.
Like this a lot.
Casey has responded with a Batter Skull and is resolving it right now.
The Brainstorm.
Brainstorm. Greg has access to a Red Elemental Blast.
Yeah, Red REB going to be really strong here. And of course, this REB being a S-Chinese 5th, it's going to be uncounterable. So really, it's just going to be really tough.
Force of Will is going to target the Kolaghan's Command, pitching
and Greg's got it. Greg has the answer here. This is
that
pretty sick. And if you look at Casey, he's got another Force in hand, but he can't cast it.
Just Force and...
I think he's got a Plow and something else.
Okay. Plow could be big time.
Yeah, Plow could be big time. I mean, Greg is at 2.
Casey has to accept it by... Oh, and doesn't even return the Batter Skull. He's just going to pop it in the graveyard.
Wow.
Interesting.
That's a huge misplay, I think.
Okay, and there's the draw step from Casey. That all happened during Casey's upkeep. That was the Kolaghan's Command, fired off by Greg. Casey opted not to bounce the Batter Skull.
And if you look at Casey's hand, he's got I think that's a Disenchant or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, Swords to Plowshares, Disenchant, Force of Will, and something else. Yeah, he should have bounced the Batter Skull. That would have been a huge play.
Just kind of going through the motions and just maybe forgetting, not thinking it through.
Yeah.
And here comes Greg with a Snapcaster Mage.
Got all the toys.
Oh my goodness gracious! Snapcaster Mage is going to target him to Turok.
Oh my!
Him targeting Casey.
This is fantastic. See, Greg is very, very well knows that his opponent can't win outside of combat. So he's just going to go ahead and take every advantage possible.
Got it.
It's unlikely that the only flash creature that Blue-Eyed Delver could potentially play is Vendilion Clique.
Right.
Right, and he's just going to go ahead and say, I'm just going to be cold to that card right here.
Okay.
So
Greg,
really awesome stuff.
Casey's thinking about if he has a response, and I'm going to take a look at your graveyard. And this is a him to Turok on the stack, folks. Greg has clawed back from being 1 turn away from death.
So crazy. Yeah.
Kolaghan's
Unbelievable.
Command, bringing the power.
Pyroblast. Casey had the protection. He was ready to go.
Yeah.
But there was just 1 layer too deep.
Wow. Casey is going to fire off the Surgical Extraction before Greg's him to Turok resolves, making sure that he can get something. What's it going to be?
I will say this.
Wow.
Casey, he's gonna if he takes a stroll through this to this Greg Mitchell deck, he He might lose his mind. There's all sorts of crazy cards.
This is our first glimpse at the entire deck,
Force
folks.
will.
And this
Greg's like,
is
look at
game
the
two.
force. Like, what is that? Oh, I think he's asking what language is that?
What language?
And it's
Probably
German.
Yeah.
Wilhelmscraft.
Yeah.
Of course, all these are German.
Okay, so we're not seeing
Guaranteed.
anything we haven't seen yet.
Bristlebrand.
This is all pretty much what we've seen already. Okay, we've seen everything in the deck. All right.
Okay, so
Nothing new.
it looks relatively like it was.
Well, it looks relatively like what we saw in Game 1, but there's no
Yeah.
prototype for this deck. This is it.
Yeah, this is the alpha, the beta.
This isn't like
and the deployment build.
This
right
isn't the old stock World Gorger combo and Strix deck, right? Gui Rothio asking a critical question: why did he not respond to the Snapcaster trigger and instead surgical the him?
I'm not quite sure. I'm not. I think maybe Casey is more interested in trying to beat the consistency of his opponent. He didn't know that his opponent has access to this sort of stuff right here. Actually, this is extraordinarily devastating. Like, both of these cards for Greg just end the game. That being said, if I'm Casey, there's one card that ends the game right off the top. That's True Name Nemesis. So if Nemesis is found, I mean, it's likely that that's going to be it.
Yeah, let's take a look and see what the follow-up is here.
I mean, listen. Cards in the deck. Oh, okay, never mind. Wow, that's crazy.
Now, Greg is sitting... I mean, he's got 6 lands, including that Desolate Lighthouse. He can discard this Inferno Titan whenever he wants.
Yeah, I think he's going to go ahead and... Oh, he's just going to play it. My goodness.
Hard cast Inferno Titan. That's so mean.
Count to 6. That is insane. I mean, when have you seen that happen?
Oh, 3 damage to you. Greg was very careful. Does it resolve? 3 damage to you. Now I'll swing for 2. Casey Lock all the way down to 23 now. Casey, back to Casey's turn.
He saw the line.
That's just...
Tapping 6 for spells in Legacy.
Yeah.
I don't know very many people that do
good.
it.
I mean, you do it all the time with Force of Will, but seldom on 6 for Inferno Titan. Back to Greg's turn. And Greg can hard cast Grizzlebrands with this deck, right?
Yeah, Dark Grit. And he's there.
He prolongs the game for so long. Fatal Push and Snapcaster Mage in hand for Greg, so he's got great protection with a flashback Kolaghan's Command. Here comes 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 damage.
Is he going to Fire Breathe here?
Hello? That would be great.
That would be awesome.
That would be great. But instead, Casey's going to drop down to 12. Greg is at a mere 2, just like you said, a Lightning Bolt would be a big-time draw here.
Yeah, or Psionic Blast. I mean, anything here. Like, we need some damage.
Pretty much no... I'm not... Casey would need a very specific run of cards here to keep him in this game. But shipping it back to Casey.
If you guys really want to know, if Casey had an access to a card called Honorable Passage, Honorable Passage is quite the card and would potentially win him this game.
Oh, yes, Honorable Passage. Another Vision card. Yes, I am familiar with this card.
So this is like Reflecting Palm, but if it's red, it just domes your opponent for lethal.
Yeah. Pretty good card.
Yeah, this is insane. And of course, Greg just doing a really good job in stabilizing. If you notice that entire game, he knew exactly where he was on the spectrum. He only had one land in play. You saw him just kind of stick with it.
Right, using his life as a resource, as a time resource, essentially, right? Kind of like just like a sand timer, right? He knew right when it was about to end, and he stopped it. He flipped the sand timer over on its side.
Yeah, absolutely.
Delayed any further withdrawal. And here comes a Necromancy targeting a True Name Nemesis. And getting a rules clarification on this.
Yeah, nobody knows what happens.
Not sure what.
Oh, I think what happens, he's asking if he, I wonder if he's asking if he gets the trigger, or I wonder if he's asking, actually, if he plays Necromancy at instant speed on True Name, he does get to choose with Necromancy because it says when it enters the battlefield. So Necromancy won't be protected, but True Name will be protected. I guess he's wondering if True Name has protection from his own Necromancy, which it doesn't, because True Name doesn't have protection from Greg.
Right. Yes. Greg's just seeking clarification there.
Yeah.
Greg with those premium FBBs. Take a look at that
volcanic
island.
How nice are those?
Oh, dude.
Be honest.
It's great. It's great to have FBB. So Greg's finding out that he can't actually necromancy the
I guess he can.
True Name.
To clarify
Oh,
what occurred,
yes.
necromancy specifically states sacrificing at the beginning of the next cleanup step, not the next end step.
Oh,
Necromancy says next cleanup step you must sacrifice, not
Well-
the next end step.
well, this is
Cleanup
just a
being
treat.
at the very end.
This is
Greg
just a treat.
Mitchell is going to win Game 2 and the match. World Gorger combo featuring Baleful Strix and Jace the Mind Sculptor.
That was pretty sick.
Winning over Blue White Delver. Wow.
Amazing. Here's what I will say about that game.
Yeah.
There's a nuance in there that I think that he caught that I, might be lost a little bit on, even myself. I didn't really
Okay.
think about it until it happened.
Yeah.
Think about when Greg cast that Colgan's command. You and I were specifically talking about how, man, I really think he should just rip it right here. He needs to go ahead and just try to buy some time and save some life and
Right.
stuff like that.
Right.
Greg waited all the way until his opponent was potentially having lethal. He waited until he had mana to back up his K command, and then he fired it off because he realized how important it was to the success of the match.
Right.
And even when his opponent had force, he was able to back it up with that pyro, and if his opponent was unable to find the other counter magic. So
Yeah, right.
a really nice heads-up play by Greg, and just shows you how precise execution really pays off, even when you're starting with one land and
Right.
things are a little shaky.
Extremely patient by Greg, and we just saw a great deck from Greg Mitchell.
Jeez.
That was pretty sweet.
There's no way he plays that on this week. Are you playing this weekend? Actually, is that a perfect segue?
Yeah, that's right. This weekend, if you are anywhere close to Seattle this Saturday,
Oh my goodness.
Anywhere
Why
close.
would you be anywhere but in Seattle?
some folks come all the way from Vancouver,
Oh.
British Columbia. Some folks come all the way from Portland, Oregon.
Yes, sir.
Some folks come from as far east as Boise, Idaho.
I've seen those. Those people are amazing.
Thank you.
They are amazing.
Thank you all for coming. This weekend, this Saturday, we have a 1K Legacy Tournament. And we fire these off every single month. We'll also be broadcasting it too. So you can tune in if you're interested in watching it. Make sure you hit that follow button, subscribe button to this channel. You'll get notified of when we go live. But yeah, this weekend, this Saturday, 1K. And it's at
I think it's here, actually.
here. Yeah.
I want to say it's
Mox
here.
Boarding House, Seattle. It's true. March. Yeah.
And we're going to have, the brand new cast. We're going to have, headsets, the same production value. It's going to be exciting. And of course, they're all fighting for that coveted Legacy Invite, the invitational tournament coming up in July.
That's right. Every single one of our monthly 1Ks kind of rolls into crowning champions that get automatic invites into the Legacy Preservation Invitational, a 32-person event where you get to duke it out for Legacy supremacy too.
I mean, if you want to talk, the reigning 1K champion, champion,
Greg Mitchell just laughing, cackling as he walks by.
Walking by, 6 mana.
Worked. It worked.
How about the
Amazing.
fire breathing at the end for the last point? That was awesome. That was really awesome. That was the cream on the cake for sure.
So cool. So cool. Hopefully we can catch up with Greg later on in the stream. That'd be really fun. We've only got 3.5 minutes left in this round, buddy.
That's what nonstop Legacy action's like. That's why you tune in.
Feels good. Feels good. Feels so good to be here, to be present for Legacy action. 38 folks showed up to play Legacy on a Monday night here in Seattle.
When it's like nice and sunny outside, when the weather's about to turn.
Not only that, but you at home are watching Legacy action. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thanks for being present with us here tonight, being part of the community. It means so much for you to come back week after week. We're always glad to have more Legacy going on.
And I will say, just from a selfish caster perspective, it's also good to see you, man.
Thank you.
To cast with you. It's
Thank
been
you so much.
it's been a little while since we've done
Thank
it.
you so much. Thank you.
But I gotta say, whenever we do it, it's a lot of fun. We just get to sit around, talk about Magic cards.
Always fun. Dude, Magic, so fun.
It's a great game.
A couple topics in the larger Magic realm that I'd like your hot take on.
Oh no.
Folks at home,
Too spicy.
Feel free to chime in too. Okay. Number 1. 32 Planeswalkers in one set. You get a Planeswalker in every pack. Whoa!
What are you
Are there going to be some Planeswalkers that are just minus only?
I'm sure. I mean,
Right?
they've made them before, like Sarkin the Mad, or Sarkin the Bad, as they used to call him.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I mean, he was minus only.
Right, like a minus only planeswalker could be
Yeah.
balanced, right?
Yeah, I'm sure that there might be something.
How about a plus only?
It only goes up.
Only goes up,
I
but it only
think
does bad things.
There's a Gideon. Oh, there's a Gideon that pluses all the time.
Okay,
I think.
okay.
I'm not sure. Here's what I'll say about Planeswalkers, and the reason why. Like, here's the hot take.
Okay.
The issue with Planeswalkers is that the only time they've ever printed spells, not other Planeswalkers, spells that deal with Planeswalkers,
Mm-hmm.
is when a card rarity is like rare or uncommon.
Okay.
It's either an Oblivion effect or
Yeah.
it's a black effect that says destroy target creature or Planeswalker.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Sometimes they'll print like Chandra's Downfall, or Jace's Downfall, or whatever. But all I have to say is that, from the perspective of like actual interesting games, if it moves away from us taking turns slamming creatures and trying to do combat math to attack into us taking turns slamming planeswalkers, that world just looks. I mean, I don't even know what world that is. You have a Wrath of God effect that just blows up nothing.
Yeah.
So.
I am holding out reservation.
Yeah,
I trust.
That's true.
I have trust.
That's fair.
I have trust. Oh, Jordan Reed Spell Pierce says Rassilin.
Okay, I mean, Spell Pierce is a great card.
You can Spell Pierce Planeswalkers.
Yeah,
Did you know that?
I'm well aware of this.
Do you know that?
Yeah, I mean,
You tap out for Jace, you can still Spell Pierce that
big
bad
fan
boy.
of Spell Pierce, always been. But what I will say is that I mean, when the value of negate becomes like reasonable to play, it's like I don't know.
Disdainful Stroke.
Disdainful Stroke, yeah.
Maybe that's going to come back in standard.
Yeah,
huh?
we'll see.
Okay, got it. So Planeswalkers, you're holding out. You are a little pessimistic. I'm holding out. I have no preconceived notion. I'm just excited to see how they did it because that sounds so hard to balance. So hard, like almost impossible.
I think that like your excitement for that is like my apprehension.
Yes,
you
yes,
know?
yes, yes.
Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I agree. Okay.
Jeez, man.
Second macro.
Oh, no. I know where
Macro
this-
magic talk.
There's a pedestal here.
No, I'm just questioning. I have a question about next one is modern cards just directly printed into modern.
Okay, yeah.
Cards directly printed into modern, bypassing standard.
That concept is good.
Great concept.
They've needed to do that for a long time. They really have. I've asked for Cabal Therapy, Counterspell, the different Pyroblasts. I'm fine with what they're doing right now, but it's one of those things where, if those cards existed on the plane of Standard, you have a really warped Standard format for 2 years.
Yeah, for sure.
And I don't understand why this is like a groundbreaking territory for them. I mean, they've printed cards that have gone directly into Legacy.
Right, unfortunately.
Right. Well,
Name Nemesis.
Unfortunately, fortunately. I mean, I'd say that we've done it. Legacy players have done a really good job in absorbing kind of the cards that weren't really considered for Legacy and making them considered for Legacy.
Right.
But the last question that I have, and this might be a question for the chat or a question for you or just a question for me to just like lose my brain and just consider taking all my cards and throwing them in the air. What is your thought on the Paris Mulligan rule, that concept? It's the
Turning to London Mulligan.
the London
London
Mulligan.
Mulligan rule.
Excuse me. Yeah.
Okay, so for folks at home, I'm sure everyone is familiar with this. They are experimenting with a rule, a London Mulligan rule, they're calling it. We've had Paris Mulligan, we've had Vancouver Mulligan,
Yeah.
and now we're having the London Mulligan experimented with. And the way it works is you start with 7 cards, and you have a Mulligan counter. Think of it this way, a Mulligan counter. You start with 7 cards. If you choose a Mulligan, your Mulligan counter is at 1. So you're going to Mulligan, but you're going to draw 7. And then, if you choose to keep, you put 1 card back, a card equal to the number of your Mulligan counter,
Right.
back into your library, and then you shuffle, right?
Right.
And then that's it. If you want to Mulligan again, you again put all 7 cards back, shuffle, draw a fresh 7, and then your Mulligan counter is at 2. If you keep that hand, you put 2 cards back instead. And it goes on and on. So
yes.
Between every Mulligan, you always are... Oh, excuse me. No shuffle. The card just goes on the bottom, like a scribe.
enough.
Scribe
Yeah,
at the
yeah.
bottom. Okay. They're just experimenting with this. They don't know if they're going to implement it or what it's going to look like. The idea, I think, is to reduce the number of non-games that show up. in Magic the Gathering. And that would include games like LSV's finals on the Pro Tour, where he mulliganed down to, I think it was 4 or 3 cards and lost. Jordan, your thoughts on
that
the
sucks.
London mulligan?
Listen, variance is part of the game. Okay. I will address this topic at a later date.
Let's take a look at our matchups. Folks at home, would love to know your opinion on London mulligan right in the chat. Are you pro London mulligan, anti London mulligan? Yeah, I think it would definitely change the format. Legacy would be
It would be a different world.
different format with London mulligan. Because I don't think that it would
Table
warp
8.
things, but it would change
Table
a
8.
lot of
Yeah.
marginal percentages.
Oh, we need the names.
They would switch from being something
Hey, we need the names.
that was something about if you could find a chalice or not. Those types of matchups will be all different. So
Can you get the paper? Yeah. Thanks, man. Sorry.
we're just making sure. Let's take a look at the chat and see what folks
Thanks, man.
are saying about London Mulligan. I think it's broken in any format with strong sideboard cards, says Benjamin. Okay. Oof, says Mac tonight. Numo bad. The London Mulligan is a ploy by Wizards to make Eternal formats unplayable, and so everyone will switch to Arena. The conspiracy from Techno Maj.
Jeez. Well, I kind of agree with that.
Very worried about
Where's my
London for Eternal formats.
Where's my tinfoil hat?
What's the best 4-card deck? Here's the
It's
thing.
the best 4-card deck.
Here's the thing about
Black
the London Mulligan. I think, as we all know, it would power up
Combo
decks like Reanimator. But I also think it would power up Chalice decks too. Mulliganing to Ancient Tomb plus Chalice is just so powerful in some matchups. You have to know what the matchup is, though, to know how aggressively to mulligan for it. So Eldrazi Stompy, I think, just gets a lot better in that sense, being one of the premier Chalice decks. Makes Ethervile stronger, says Benjamin Berry. I agree. London Mulligan is turning Magic into dice rolling for outcome. Man, a lot of strong opinions.
Well, I mean, it's an eternal community.
Sure.
It's a community that's been playing the game for a long time. I mean, that's
absolutely.
Just anytime you get people that have been playing for a long time, they're going to be impassioned about rules changes.
Sure.
I
yeah.
mean, I remember the first time when they introduced the Vancouver Mulligan, and everybody was up in arms about. Oh, I think we're swapping that. I think David is on the right. We can just swap players there. Oh, thanks. Nice. Yeah, so I remember when people were really impassioned. I mean, and I was a kind of, I was like, okay, well, combo gets 1% better, potentially. Oh, okay. Of course, the classic Jeremy Edwards, the good manner, the handshake.
The handshake as he enters. Josh Monk saying, remember when damage went off the stack? I think this is going to be less impactful.
Really?
I agree. Oh, yeah, for sure. The damage going off the stack? That was huge. I remember playing Mog Fanatic, man.
I remember playing Mog Fanatic too, for sure.
Mog Fanatic, damage on the stack, sack it.
No, I do think so, but I think that it's in terms of recalibration of the game, when damage on the stack was removed from the game just became a flatter game. Like, it just was like, it lost some unique interaction that you could do.
Some joie de vivre.
Yeah. So some
je ne sais quoi.
Yeah, exactly. Just a little bit.
Okay, interesting.
But I think that when you introduce a rule that fundamentally changes the mechanics of the beginning of the game, you get the game changes drastically. And I mean, what I'm really scared for is the people that have been playing even a deeper format Vintage for a longer time. If I'm sitting there and I own my 4 Bazaars and I've always played Dredge for that long,
right?
Do you think you're going to let me play Bazaar Baghdad when we've got that rule in place and I just always have Bazaar, always have it,
That'd be pretty cool.
If I mulligan to 1, I see 47, I see 49 cards.
Yeah.
How unreal is that?
Yeah.
Anyways, so we're seeing Jeremy Edwards on your left, and if Jeremy Edwards likely on Eldrazi, David Pomeranz. Oh my goodness, this is. I'm not. For everybody at home, I do not know what decks the pilots are on, but we're seeing a lot of Stoneforge, and that makes me happy.
Yeah, I believe. Oh, yeah. So Jeremy is on post, and probably Eldrazi post, I'm guessing.
Wow, this is going to be a tough matchup.
Yeah, and David Pomeranz on your right with Blue-White Stoneblade. Let's take a look at this round 2 of Legacy action. Let's get it going. Let's get it going.
Now, Jeremy Edwards, of course, the grizzled veteran. He's been fighting since I was a little child. He also used to write for Star City Games. Surprise, surprise. Anyways, we're going to go ahead and see David. Looks like he's going to go ahead and mulligan down to 6. And Jeremy going to go ahead and snap off his 7 with Eldrazi Post. So, primary impact cards that Jeremy Edwards is considering having right here. I mean, fast Chalice of the Void, turn 2, TKS, really just gets the engine going quickly. And Jeremy's been on Eldrazi Post for a while now.
Yeah, I haven't been around to see. Tell me about David Pomeranz. Has he been around the local scene for a while, or is he pretty new?
I've heard the name a little bit, a few times, and I'm sure that I would be more connected with the Stoneblade players right now, but I'm not, I haven't been around that much either, unfortunately.
Yeah, Jordan, you're not repping your crew, the Blue-White Stoneblade crew. Here comes Jeremy with a turn 1 Chalice of the Void. Off this ancient tomb, Jeremy down to 18. David thinking, do I have force or no? No. And here's the future we have to look forward to with London Mulligan. Turn 1 chalices all the time.
I suppose that also means turn 1 forcibles all the time. But
But
here comes TKS, and this is the start we're talking about.
This is an amazing start for Jeremy. Chalice of the Void followed up by TKS. David has really, even if he has something to play right now, there's no answer.
This is absolutely one of the most powerful starts that Eldrazi can get, and of course the post build specifically. If David has a spell snare in hand, it's going to feel bad.
I think not. I think when you take it in context, wow, and
that's back to basics.
Okay, back to basics.
Whoa.
Couple lands, Stoneforge Mystic, Jace, and Snapcaster Mage in hand for David. And what are you taking if you're Jeremy here?
If I'm David, I'm actually he's got to take that back to basics. Yep. But, that's a really good hand from David. That he doesn't get cut off from that Chalice of the Void, and he's got interaction all the way up and down the spectrum. So, aside from losing back to basics.
Sure, Stoneforge Mystic from David, and he's going to search up a Batterskull for sure, right?
Yeah, 100%.
That is completely the game plan for Stoneblade against Eldrazi, would you say?
Yeah, absolutely. I think if Jeremy didn't have to make the choice of taking back to basics first, he certainly would have taken the Stoneforge Mystic here. And even more importantly, if Jeremy has an opportunity to snag that... Oh, interesting.
Zawa's Jite, wow.
I don't think it's an okay decision here, but I think Batterskull is certainly much better, specifically because it's a less of a mana commitment when you play it, and you don't have to work on equipping it or doing anything like that. Once it comes down, you can go ahead and just immediately threaten an enemy TKS.
Yeah.
And Jeremy's never going to want to attack in with his TKS because he doesn't want to give the card back that he got with his TKS. So.
Sure, yeah. Okay, Cloud Post the play from Jeremy and a swing from TKS drops David to 16. Let's take a look at what David's follow-up is going to be. He does have a third land drop. We know that for sure. It's a fetch land, at least. Polluted Delta, down to 15. And he also has a Jace in hand.
Oh, that's absolutely right. So, and if David can get to a position where he can slam Jace without too much pain on the backswing. The one card he has to watch out for the most in this position is probably Reality Smasher.
The Smasher.
Yeah. But Jeremy didn't have an untapped land, and True Name Nemesis is going to do a good job in brickwalling this TKS.
Wow, that's a pretty good play there from David, and shipping it back to Jeremy. True Name, of course, doesn't do a good job against Trample.
Yeah, really, really bad. He's going to need one more point of damage specifically to beat a Reality Smasher.
Glimmer Post, the play, going to gain Jeremy's 2 life here. Jeremy now has access to 7 mana for an Eldrazi.
Yeah, 7 mana for an Eldrazi or 6 for something else, like a Walking Ballista, potentially. One of the big scary things about Eldrazi Post is it just generates so much mana. They can do all sorts of things, and that's huge.
Wow, big time. Just a pass back from Jeremy. No action to play. And David gets a huge break here. The pressure is off. Jeremy has nothing in hand to play.
Well, nothing in hand to play now, but that just means that there might be bigger baddies up top. It could be chaining Ulamog's or something crazy like that.
Oh, goodness gracious.
But what's crazy about it is most of the mid-range, so at Eldrazi Post, once it hits that mid-range play off of 4 mana, a lot of times it's starting to play cards like Oblivion Sower or Endbringer, as Lee Win would say. So I always, whenever I hear, I'm like, and bring on
4 mana for David Pomeranz. Is he slamming the Jace here?
Yeah, I would imagine so. And I actually kind of like Jace minus here potentially, because what he's going to try to do is he really, at this point, he needs to tempo Jeremy. He needs to force Jeremy to spend mana on things that aren't going to kill him.
Aha.
Right. So if he bounces the
TKS?
yeah,
He can swing in.
he's going for GT here.
Whoa.
So
Interesting. Okay, GT equip. Then here
An
comes
attack.
the TNN. Jeremy
Yeah.
down 15.
So, I mean, this is okay, but the thing about GT is GT counters aren't that good or aren't that relevant versus Eldrazi. Just because, Eldrazi have, 4 toughness, 5 toughness, things like that.
Mm-hmm.
And, once Jeremy actually hits some of his larger, more robust threats,
Like
they
the
just become
one he just drew a Reality Smasher up the
yeah,
top.
Smasher's going to be a problem. Smasher's a problem. Oh, and there's Eye of Eugene.
I have Ugin the play for Jeremy.
Eye of
and
Eugen.
Here is 2, now 3, 4.
He's got one
yep,
floating
and,
too.
1 from the Eye of Ugin. So
Yeah.
that's 4 mana, and there's the Reality Smasher.
Oh,
We're gonna swing in for 9.
it's clobbered time, I suppose.
Yeah.
And I mean, 9 damage is a lot, especially when you're at 14. Like, he's going to drop you to 5. Like, the GT just looks kind of outclassed. And if that was actually Batterskull in this position, what he could do is he could attack or block or whatever.
Oh my
And now he
goodness.
can go ahead and equip next turn to True Name, and then he's actually completely safe.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's going to be a swing for 9, connecting David Pomeranz down to 5. No block on that, hoping maybe to, I don't know, top deck a
People telling me that Eldrazi is my spirit animal. I mean, maybe. I like spaghetti.
Sean Yu's a big fan of Eldrazi, I know.
Oh, that's a Debo right there.
If you're listening out there, Sean.
Yeah, actually, come to think of it, I haven't seen him show up in Card Kingdom chats as of late, but
4 mana, there's Jace the Mind Sculptor. And this might be a turn too late.
yeah, I mean, it is tough, because the reason why he got GT was specifically to ride on the back of True Name.
Right.
But I think in this position, I mean, he has to just try to remove counters and buy some time. If he brainstorms, he's certainly going to lose the Jace.
Yeah, and that Brainstorm, I'm not sure what you're looking for with the Brainstorm
Yeah, his mana's tapped
when you're
too.
tapped out, yeah.
His mana's tapped. He'll have 1 land drop, and then he'll get bounced by the Chalice of the Void. Almost 0% chance that Jeremy's going to miss the Chalice trigger. I've tried so many times. I've tried so many different tricks on him too, and they never work.
He never misses the Chalice
He
trigger?
never misses the Chalice trigger.
Wow.
His brain is just simply too large. Top deck from Jeremy here. And I think that drawing more lands is really good. I mean, it really powers up that Eye of Ugin. And also, if he draws a card like Walking Ballista, big Walking Ballista is going to cause all sorts of problems.
Right, absolutely. Jeremy, thinking about his options here, I think that an Alpha Strike is probably the best.
Yeah, it is interesting, though. Like, I feel like the issue with Jeremy right here is that he doesn't have... He would have loved to play one of his large creatures if he had it, or like All His Dust.
Yeah. Is Jeremy thinking about if he can get a Walking Ballista with the mana he has available and win? I don't think he can.
So I think the issue is if he gets a Walking Ballista, he certainly will enter a tough position. Oh, there's another Smasher.
Reality Smasher, and I think this is going to spell doom for David Pomeranz.
Yeah, that's a lot of damage.
Yeah, David can block and kill a Reality Smasher and take no damage with the True Name Nemesis and block the TKS, but the 5 is going to do it. David needs a Force of Will to win.
Yeah, Jeremy does have 1 floating, and that's game. Wow, that was insane.
Jeremy Edwards takes game 1, playing Eldrazi Post, defeating the Blue-White Stoneblade player, David Pomeranz.
David, I will say that I like his playmat. I mean, I think kittens are pretty cute, but unfortunately,
yeah,
Cat Tribal not great versus Spaghetti Monsters.
What's the most playable cat in Legacy? Well, of course we know Greg Mitchell's been playing the cat combo.
Yeah, that's right. Also, Brimaz. Yeah, a good cat.
Are there any Ajani's playable?
I've actually seen a Johnny, the blue-white one, or the white-red one. The one that blows...
a Johnny Vengeance.
Yeah, the one that blows up all your opponent's lands.
Yeah.
I've also seen a Johnny Vengeance come down and just helix twice.
So, Pride Mage.
Oh, Lomer Boy. Yes, sir.
Pride Mage. That's a good
Pride
cat.
Mage. Yeah, Kasali Pride Mage is a good cat.
That's a good cat.
Other people like Sean Yu would say Wild Nakatl is a good cat. He would actually argue that Wild Nakatl is the best cat simply
Right.
because its stat line is just so tremendous for the amount of mana it costs.
Right. Cats. Archon, honorable mention. Nice. I like that. The Archon from the Elves decks now.
Oh yeah, it's a cat?
Is it?
I don't know.
Does Archon of
Valor's Reach.
Valor's Reach.
I think that's it.
There
Yeah.
it is. There's a cat featured.
Okay. Listen, guys. Just because your hero is riding a dragon doesn't mean it's a dragon. It just means it's a dragon rider.
Hey, but
Right.
what if the Archon of Valor's Reach is the lion with a winged lion, and that's just some dude that he brings along to help him out?
Yeah. Why are you assuming that the Archon is the dude that's riding? Huh?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. Well. Yeah. That's
Yeah.
a good question.
Yeah.
That's a good question.
It's time to think outside the box.
Never make assumptions.
Mm-mm.
Because when you start assuming things, that's when you assume that they're not talking about the cat. A cat can be an Archon. That's just true.
Yeah, I mean, the cat looks more Archon-like than the. Okay, let's go back to the game.
I'll be honest though. Whenever I think of an Archon, I always think of like the giant plasma ball that floats around in StarCraft Brood War. That's like annihilate. You know, power overwhelming.
The Archon I think about is man, that old Alliances card.
Oh yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. That's a good one.
Yeah. Okay. Back to the game. We're in game 2, folks. Jeremy Edwards has won game 1. It looks like Jeremy's got a chalice. Chalice in hand. 2 chalices, but 1 Voltaic Key and 1 land. It was an Eldrazi Temple.
Yeah.
Not good enough. If it was an Ancient Tomb, he's in there.
Yeah, I think so for sure.
He's in there.
And I think that's one of the volatile things about Eldrazi Pose.
Yeah. And imagine if he was drawing 7 here. And then choosing one on the bottom.
That gave me a shiver down my spine.
Yeah. No, he's going to draw 6. Of
Wow.
course. David Pomeranz, I think, keeping his 7. Not sure what he had.
I mean, they're going to just manufacture so many of those 4-card hands of Chalice on 1, TKS on 2. Like, how is... Who likes that?
That's one of the most... Really, it's one of the most powerful openers in Legacy, I think.
I completely agree.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Before it was, like, DRS on 1 and, like, him plus Cantrip on 2.
Yeah.
That was pretty good.
DRS on 1, and then him plus Spell Pierce on 2. It's like...
Oh, yeah.
That's when everybody wanted to play Flusterstorm in their main.
Yeah.
My goodness.
Okay, Jeremy's going to keep his 6, and we're shipping it starting with David. Ponder is the play for David Pomeranz.
Or like Deathrite Shaman into what's it called? Young Pyromancer, Gix Probe, Cabal Therapy.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Man.
That's a great turn 2 play,
That's
too.
so nasty.
Yeah. Can't do that anymore.
Yeah, you really can't.
David is going to keep that Ponder and draw. Pass it back to Jeremy. David's really behind the 8 ball here. This is a tough matchup for Blue-White Stoneblade.
Yeah. The one thing I will say, one of the big advantages that he had, I mean, if he was able to kind of catch game 1 on the back of that Back to Basics, he would have actually had a relatively good chance to win. You know, Back to Basics, a really, really powerful card in this matchup. And Jeremy's actually told me that he has metagamed against it many times, and if you were to know the number of wastes, like the colorless basic that he plays in his deck,
Yeah.
it would blow your mind between his main and his side.
Wow. Just
one-
to beat Back to Basics and Blood Moon.
Yeah, at one point up to 7 copies.
Oh, jeez.
How crazy is
That's
that?
That's a lot. Okay. Chalice of the Void on turn 2. X is 1. David just gives straight up the thumbs up. Not looking good.
Oh,
Disenchant
end of turn,
end of
Disenchant.
turn.
Very
Bye
nice.
bye. Wow.
If
David just slammed that Disenchant in his
Oh.
graveyard. He was like, got it.
Look at what's in the window right there. I think that's it.
Oh, the Back to Basics.
I think that's
He's
it.
fetching. David Pomeranz down to 19, and Jeremy is about to be in a world of pain.
Oh, my
Back to
goodness.
Basics.
It's a powerful enchantment, and before they reprinted that card was going for $100 for good reason.
Yeah, at the very tail end of it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. It was let's see, that's Urza's. No,
Yeah,
that was
absolutely
Tempest.
right. No, that was Saga.
Urza
That was
Saga?
Saga. Yeah, that's the gears.
Yeah, maybe it was Urza Saga. Yep, Urza Saga. Man, look at that. No foil available until the recent copy, the recent version. Back to Basics is the play. Jeremy Edwards has to keep his stage and Cloud Post tapped down.
And this is the power of Blue-Eyed Stoneblade. You've got cards that can answer most situations right here. Oh, he doesn't untap his Caracas. Yeah, got that.
Caracas is back to Basics. Back to Jeremy. And what does Jeremy have to beat a back to Basics in his main besides drawing lands? There's 3 mana, 4 mana, and there is the Thought-Knot Seer.
I kind of like this line from Jeremy. I mean, he's actually just going to go ahead and just start deploying threats and attacking. And in his position right here, I mean, he's kind of underneath a lot of pressure, but taking away this Swords of Plowshares is actually huge. Oh, there's 2 though, so
now David does not have access to white mana.
That's true.
Are you ever taking the Brainstorm here?
Well, the thing is, every card you take, yeah, I think you would take Brainstorm. Oh,
Jeremy's
Jeremy's
taking
taking
Snapcaster
Mage. Okay. So that makes some sense, as you know, that's kind of a lot of the advantage or a lot of the value that David can get off of a Brainstorm here.
Sure,
but yeah, he's going to go ahead and tap this, and that's certainly not untapping.
All right, so Thought-Knot Seer, the play from Jeremy, is getting him back into this, back to David, and he's got that Brainstorm, and he's going to go ahead and fire it off.
I don't like end of turn.
Wow, yeah, that looked like it was end of turn, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
I think the issue is, I think if Jeremy actually takes Batterskull, he's actually more likely to win a long game because Batterskull is unable to like rush down and stabilize for him.
Yeah, true.
And Jeremy knows because once that white source comes,
got to play by the rules there. Back to basics.
That's your own card there, man.
Yeah, can't forget that. There's a Ponder from David. That was a follow-up to a Brainstorm. And yeah, I agree. I do not like the end-of-turn Brainstorm there, especially when you have your opponent locked down with a back-to-basics like that.
Yeah.
You're really just trying to maximize your card draw.
Looking at the different cards. You need to look at as many cards as possible. You want to find a white man that you get a redraw off of that dead TKS.
And there was a Ponder with a shuffle, and the top deck was a Force of Will. Right. Back to Jeremy. There's another land for Jeremy. 4 in. Down to 15 for David.
His, what's it called, is gone. His City of Traders is gone.
Right.
Hey, Will, can you tell that Jeremy's City of Traders is gone?
Yeah, City of Traders.
City of Traders, just tell him City of Traders.
This is a back to basics, not a blood moon, which I think I would do in my head too. I would think of it as a blood moon.
Yeah, certainly I would too.
But in for
he got it.
In for 4 again, and David now is down to 11, sitting just with 2 islands. Could this back to basics have been more detrimental to David than to Jeremy?
It's always possible, but I will say that it's more likely that Jeremy's got way more heat in back. And once you find a white fetch, and there's a white fetch right there.
Yep.
So
Flooded Strand. Can David claw his way back into this game?
That being said, I mean, Jeremy is legitimately, 1 land away from playing a card like Reality Smasher. I mean, he goes all the way up the chain for sure.
Right. There's David finding a basic plains.
Oh, Stoneforge Mystic.
Going to play the Stoneforge Mystic. I'm not going to bother to shuffle my deck, David says, because I'm going to look for a Jite. Oh, of course, he's got the Batterskull in hand.
Yeah, has the Batterskull in hand.
And there's the Jite, just a free card draw.
Yeah, and of course, it's really nice when you're able to go ahead and generate advantage. There's certain matchups when you're playing Blue-White Stoneblade that Stoneforge Mystic is really just Baleful Strix. It always, if it's Baleful Strix, it always finds you Jite or Batterskull.
Yeah.
And in some matchups, that's not very good. Like versus Miracles, it's only okay. But in some matchups, like versus Delver or Burn, it's like absolutely your best card.
Right, 2 mana draw card, and in some cases, it's your best card in your deck.
Exactly.
TKS in for 4, and David's down to 6. He's going to have to get this Batterskull into play, and that means that Jeremy's going to need an answer to the Batterskull.
Yeah, certainly, especially with Swords of Plowshares as well looming in back. I mean, Jeremy knows that there are multiple Swords of Plowshares here. So, David probably going to go ahead and stabilize here. I mean, Jeremy knows exactly what's in David's hand.
Right. That Batterskull. Does Jeremy have any answers in the mainer side to Batterskull?
It's possible that he has access to Dismember, but it's unlikely that he plays it because of the nature of his deck.
Okay.
More likely that he's going to have access to a card like Endbringer or Oblivion Sower. I think that the issue with playing a card like Dismember is that it's just a little too down to the ground. You know, it's a lot better for the stompy decks for trying to remove a blocker and then just kind of swinging in for the win. The amount of damage you end up taking off of Ancient Tombs and Dismembers is quite a lot. So they want to be able to limit that.
This is Jeremy's turn, and he's thinking about what to do. Gonna take 2 off this Ancient Tomb, and he could have another Thought-Knot Seer. It's a Grim Monolith.
Okay.
Not bad.
Is that a counter spell, I think, in hand from David? That's exactly what it is.
Counter spell.
Yeah.
EMA.
Yeah,
Counter
EMA foil.
All right. Ooh, Swords of Plowshares.
No, I think he's got to deploy. It just makes the most sense.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Okay, here comes the bet. Oh.
Interesting.
Jite.
Okay, so Jite actually does not. I mean, the issue with Jite here is that now if he equips any attacks, he doesn't trade at all with the TKS. But it's likely that he's going to just go ahead and plow instead. So we're going to go ahead and see a crank for 2. Equip. He has to plow before attacks. Otherwise, if Jeremy ever moves to blockers, then he both loses his Stoneforge. Yeah, this is weird. I would just plow.
Is David trying to play around a Reality Smasher, you think?
I don't know, because if he kills the TKS, he gets the redraw card, and he gets 4 counters.
Right.
So
yeah,
it's unlikely, especially with the amount of mana commitment that Jeremy Edwards has to use, and he's got Forcible in hand too. So it doesn't really make a ton of sense as to what he's trying to do here.
Right. Not sure what that was, but okay. It's same outcome at this point. TKS is off the board, and 1 point of damage through, and 2 GT counters for David. Jeremy almost picked up a draw off of his own TKS dying, but that's not how that card works.
Yeah, so we're going to see a tap for 3, and he's going to go ahead and put in True Name. I mean, Skull is really good. Really good here. Being able to attack and block versus a lot of these fast, these hasty 5/5s. And then, of course, the best part about Skull is when it's on Stoneforge Mystic, you make a 5/6. So you just immediately outclass every True Name Nemesis, or sorry, every Reality Smasher ever.
And chat, Schneff saying that perhaps he shuffled away the Batterskull with the Brainstorm. I think in chatting with you, Batterskull is just one of the most critical cards in this matchup. Is that right?
Yeah, that's absolutely right. It's by far the most important card. But, you know, we've seen that David's going to go ahead and favor Jite. I mean, he might have a playstyle thing or a reason why he likes to do it, but ultimately, you know, I've won countless games on the back of Batterskull, so.
And David's going to swing, get a couple counters, and pass it back to Jeremy. Jeremy, facing down this back to basics, big time card. To contend with. That Grim Monolith got dealt with, and now back to David.
Yeah, it looks. Yeah, Jeremy. I mean, the news is tightening. I think that back to basics. I mean, this is kind of one of the reasons why he was talking about playing so many wastes in his variants of decks. I think the reason why he might not. I mean, he saw it game 1, the back to basics. So obviously, this is one of the ways that his deck can lose. But, you know, ultimately, when his deck is functioning correctly, a lot of times he's a lot faster than back to basics. You know, we saw in game 1 where he went Chalice, TKS, Reality Smasher. I mean, that's just kind of the trifecta right there.
Right, yeah, perfect plays for him. Jeremy, though, is going to lose this game. David Pomeranz, with that critical back to basics, is going to win game 2. We're going to go to game 3, and I'm a little surprised. I thought that Eldrazi Post just sweeps this matchup, and
yeah, you know,
it's a 2-0, but David really making a game of it.
Absolutely. I think the most important part of the matchup is it's all about Stoneblade to stabilize versus some of the aggressive plays that the Eldrazi Post deck can have. And then when the game goes long, you really need to see your sideboard cards to make it so they're not unbound with their mana. I mean, if Jeremy was, even if at some point the board stalled out and Jeremy was able to find a card like Cavern of Souls for Eldrazi and then just slam Ulamog, David would be in a lot of pain because not only would he be unable to protect his Jita, but he'd also be unable to protect his back to basics too. So Ulamog certainly giving him that second level or that second layer. And I think one of the other things that's really important is when you play back to basics and it shuts off 2 mana is way more impactful than when you play back to basics and you shut off 0 mana. So the fact that Jeremy spent 2 mana specifically to play Chalice was really painful.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, 2 lands, and Get those tapped down.
Yeah.
Okay, we're going to take a look at, and remember that was a mulligan to 6 for Jeremy too. We're going to take a look at Game 3 in this, our second round of Legacy action. We're giving you 4 rounds of Legacy action live here from Mox Boarding House in Seattle. You've got Michael Tessier and Jordan Isaka in the booth for you. David showing off his hand. He's got triple cantrips and a Jace.
Yeah, that's one of those hands that's really dangerous. I'm pretty sure that's the reason why he's thinking so much right here. This is one of those hands that you're considering keeping, and if your opponent has turn 1 Chalice the Void, it's really bad. It's all sorts of problems too. So, Jeremy,
Wow.
they're both keeping.
And Jeremy just with the Cloud Post turn 1, so no punishment yet. David with the Tundra and a Ponder.
And of course, the nice thing about Ponder, being able to kind of fix your next couple draws as well as find the cards you're going to need for the foreseeable future. I mean, one of the nice cards, if he looks at this and he says, okay, I already got lands. This is 2 or 3 lands. He can go ahead and shuffle that away. Okay. But if he finds what he needs, he's going to go ahead and keep on going.
Looks like he kept, and I'm not sure what he chose to draw, but has to think about. And there's a waste from Jeremy.
Yes, sir.
And there's a Grim Monolith.
Grim Monolith, one of the really scary cards that can come out for this Eldrazi post deck. I mean, being able to go from 2 mana to 6 mana is just an insane jump. I remember back in the day when the deck Hive Mind was running around, they would sometimes go turn one, what's it called? Grim Monolith, turn 2, Island, and then they would just slam
the
Hive Mind, and they would go Pact of the Titan, you're dead.
That is so cool.
It's so crazy.
Yeah. All right, back to Jeremy. There's a Trinisphere off the top. That's a pretty good draw, I think. Ancient Tomb in hand. We haven't seen a Chalice yet.
Yeah, I certainly like, I think that this Trinisphere is certainly really powerful and a card that can really deliver a lot of punishment.
I think he's going to take 2 from the Ancient Tomb, and he's going to play this Trinisphere. There it is.
This card, the cool thing about this card is it really destroys cards like Snapcaster Mage. They're almost unplayable at this point.
Mm-hmm.
And the Stoneblade deck has to play about as slow as Molasses if they want to play. That being said, the one big advantage sitting behind Trinisphere is if you can go. Yeah, you can go ahead and keep up. If you the one play you make is playing Stoneforge Mystic, it's nice because you can always keep up 3 mana for things like Force of Will.
Sure.
Or if you get to your 5th mana, you can play a Brainstorm cantrip at the end of your opponent's turn.
Yeah.
So Trinisphere, while it forces you to play in a specific way that makes you play slower, but it still allows you to play.
Right.
Whereas Chalice of the Void, if Jeremy had Chalice of the Void on the first turn that game,
might have been GG.
It's probably game.
Yeah.
So
David resolving this Brainstorm and didn't find the Force of Will. So Trinisphere resolves. David's going to fetch away 2 cards that he didn't want, which is fortunate for him, but now he needs to find it out to this Trinisphere. Maybe it's a Disenchant.
Yeah, this is likely going to set David back. Unless he can answer the Trinisphere right here, it's going to set him back a couple turns. And the reason why I say that is if David decides to go ahead and open jam a card like Disenchant a card like Stoneforge Mystic or True Nemesis, there's just absolutely no way he can play spells into that Trinisphere. Jeremy's going to untap and potentially have, at least maybe potentially 8 mana in play for him. So in his position, Jeremy's actually going to be able to either untap and be safe or untap and be safe underneath the Trinisphere, or just force David to play a lot slower.
Sure, yeah.
And based off of the current interactions or the interactions that Jeremy's had with David, it looks like Jeremy's got the creatures in hand that he has are a lot bigger than the ones he had before.
Sure, yeah.
Didn't have True Name critically on this turn. Didn't have Reality Smasher on the turn before. So
could be Oblivion Sower type of card. Or
Endbringer, that sort of stuff.
Yeah. And, there's a back to basics from David, paying 3 for that. Big time play from David Pomeranz. Back to basics hitting the table. But Jeremy's got that waste, which is going to keep untapping.
Yeah, back to basics, certainly a huge play from David. That being said, Jeremy has access to 6 mana potentially here, 7 mana, 6 mana. So even though that back to basics is in play, both players are slowing down a little bit. Yeah, there's no way Jeremy would ever let that land untap.
Right. You mentioned Jeremy notices every chalice you try to sneak through.
Yeah.
But there goes that Tundra.
I think the important thing here is David really needs to potentially hold up a card like Force of Will. I mean, if he has access to a Disenchant, that could be a big game as well.
Sure, yeah. Jeremy with 7 mana available, now 8.
And actually, in terms of land go, Jeremy is certainly way ahead, as all the lands that he goes and taps mana for, they're going to be a lot more efficient over the course of the longer game.
Mhm.
He might only get one use out of them, but when it comes time to convert his mana into an actual spell, it's going to be a big deal here. I think he's actually thinking about playing Ulamog. I would be very surprised if that wasn't Ulamog.
Okay, why? Why is that?
Only because it's a huge mana commitment to cast whatever he's considering to cast. All of his spells cost a lot of mana.
Right.
Ulamog beats the board right now as
Sure.
far as the trigger's concerned.
Yeah.
And he always gets the trigger regardless of whether or not Ulamog resolves or not.
Yeah. Yeah. Ship it back to David, and David's thinking about some end of turn shenanigans here.
Mhm.
It's going to be a fetch, and maybe he's planning on a 3 mana brainstorm here. What do you think?
Yeah, that could be possible. I think, this is kind of one of the big arguments for a card like Vendilion Click. You can actually get your threat down and potentially mess with your opponent's hand, all at instant speed, all while keeping Force Will up.
You're a big fan of Vendilion
Oh my
Click, and
gosh.
I think at every moment that you could choose between Click and True Name, you've always chosen Click.
Yeah, there are some circumstances. There's been a game where I played versus lands and I won because I was playing True Name over Click. But Click, for the most part, for my money, is by far one of the most flexible cards and does the most.
Sure.
In that same match, I actually clicked my opponent main phase and took away their life from the loam. Just pretty sick.
That's cool.
So it's all about how you play your cards, and I think the best part about Magic is really just an extension of your own personality.
Yeah.
You play how you feel. You can play aggressively. You can play defensively.
I totally agree. And there's 4
Jace the Mind
mana.
Sculptor.
There's a Jace. David plays the Jace.
That was
Jeremy
the
gives a thumbs
fastest thumbs up I've ever seen.
up from Jeremy.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, he couldn't have gone faster because the Trinisphere protects him, and this Ulamog, you see him rubbing his hands together like that. Here it comes. It's Ulamog time.
Ulamog's hitting the table and wiping David's board, right?
Yeah, and the only way this could actually be bad for Jeremy is if somehow David was able to both swords and play another back to basics on the backswing. Right.
Man,
it's tense.
Wow, this is pretty cool.
Yeah, this is what it's all about.
Yeah,
but
David shuffling the Tundra over to the back to basics side to remember.
Yeah, he's learned his lesson. Here it comes.
Ugin,
that is
hitting the board.
See, that actually is just way worse than the other card.
Ugin, the Spirit Dragon.
So Eugene. Wow, that is just tremendously. Yeah, so he's going upstairs with Ugin. He's going -4.
Bye-bye, Jace. Bye-bye back to basics.
Yep.
And Jeremy gets an Ugin on the board. No stopping this when I've got a Trinisphere in play, Jeremy says.
Here's the thing. The other thing that's really nice about Ugin the Spirit Dragon in this spot is, first off, it can't be swords. So the only interaction that he has in this spot is going to be a card like
Council's Judgment.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So he's going to be behind already, and even if he decides to play a card like True Name Nemesis, like he can -3 again, which will kill Ugin, unfortunately. But it's one of those things where Jeremy has options here.
Right. Absolutely.
Yeah.
David only tapping 2 for whatever he's playing, but there's a Trinisphere in play.
Yeah, there's a Trinisphere, so probably Stoneforge. And Trinisphere is really going to hurt the math. Yeah. Like, that's the big problem.
Yeah. David can have 2 plays here, but he's got to tap 3 for this first one.
Tapping 2. Yeah.
Jeremy never misses,
yeah,
like you said.
That's the rule right
Points
there.
To the Trinisphere.
That's the rules.
All right. David's going to search up a Batterskull, likely.
Goes for Jite. Okay.
Jite.
He's consistently gone Jite, so maybe maybe knows something that I don't.
It's part of his game plan for this deck.
For sure.
Okay. All right. Stoneforge finds a Jite. Jite's going to join David's hand, and Jeremy's going to get his turn with an Ugin in play.
Yeah, that is. Jeez. I'm almost certain that untapping with Untapping with Jace is like a big deal because you can protect your Jace and get more advantage.
Sure.
Untapping with just empty Ugin is just ridiculous because it's Ugin.
Yeah.
Like,
And there goes the Ugin. He's going to go ahead and what's the name of the fire? Ghost Fire.
Flame. But I think it's 3. Ghost Flame is only 2.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I think. I'm not quite sure. Chat can go ahead and verify.
Okay, Ghost Bolt.
Ghost Bolt.
Ghost Bolt.
That's a good one.
The Stoneforge Mystic. Bye-bye, Stoneforge Mystic.
And of course, Ghost Flame really interesting because if you have Mother Runes, you can't protect against that. I mean, there's not a lot you can do, you know?
Ghost Fire.
Ghost Fire is 3?
Ghost
Oh,
Fire is 3.
no.
Yeah.
I'm fired.
Okay.
Oh, no.
You're out of the booth, Jordan.
I'm out of the booth. Get somebody in here.
Let's get Hennefer in here. Hennefer, you want to come join me in the booth? Welcome from Mox Boarding House, Seattle, folks. Michael Tessier and Hennefer in the booth for you. Hennefer knows Ghost Fire.
He knows that Ghost Fire is 3. He's aware of how much damage that spell does.
I don't know what that says, but David's
It might be like a frowning face or something like that.
some kind of note. Not sure what it is.
All right. And this is just, to kind of reiterate, this is a tough matchup for Blade. You saw him able to get game 1, and you saw how focused Jeremy was in game 1 about taking away back to basics and how devastating back to basics was in game number 2.
Yeah,
So this is by no means a free win for Post, but I would say it's about 40%. And
yeah, and you know what else too? It really impressed me. Here's David playing a Batter Skull from hand.
Okay,
so he had the Batter Skull in.
Maybe that's why he keeps on getting GT. Maybe he always has Skull in hand.
Maybe.
Yeah.
We'll have to look back. The thing that impressed me about Jeremy is what you noticed is that he held on to that Ugin patiently.
Yeah.
For David to tap out, so when the coast was clear, right?
Yeah.
Okay, Jeremy's gonna untap this Grim Monolith at end of turn.
I think the phrase that I would use is patience from Zhao, and Jeremy certainly had patience from Zhao.
And that's another thing that we saw from Greg too, holding
Yeah.
onto the Kolaghan's command, waiting for the right opportunity.
Yeah. They never, and I think that's the hallmark of a good player is the good player knows when they're in danger, a good player knows when they're in trouble, a good player knows when it's time to burn resources and when it's time to save them for the last moment.
Yeah.
So, really, really good on Jeremy to go ahead and hide his Ugin until he saw the right opportunity to resolve it. Good on Greg to hide his Kolaghan's command until he had protection for it. So, just a nice job all the way around. Jeremy going to go ahead and tap for 4, I think. Or is it 7?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5 mana right now. Now 6.
Okay.
Now 7, 8. Now 9, 10.
All right, here comes.
This is going to be a ballista, huh?
Yeah. Oh, I think it's it's Ulamog.
Oh, Ulamog.
That makes a lot of sense.
The ceaseless hunger. There's the handshake from David Pomeranz. Jeremy Edwards is going to win Game 3 and the match in this, our second matchup of the evening, live from Mox Boarding House. Let's bring it back to the booth.
Oh, yeah.
We're in Seattle. We're in Ballard, the neighborhood. Michael Tessier, Jordan Isaka, bringing you all the action.
That was a sweet match.
Pretty cool.
Even though, from my perspective, the bad guys won. That was a sweet match.
The spaghetti monsters.
Yeah, you got to see a lot of the nuance, the finer nuances that it takes to play. I mean, everybody thinks that deck you just kind of slam things together.
Right, it's not just a Hulk smash, slamming all the cards in your hand deck.
That's right, that's right.
Post does have some nuance, like you mentioned.
Yeah.
Yeah. It seems like the kind of matchup where if you misstep, you just lose.
Yeah, I would certainly agree that every turn is really important, and each turn is more important than the last.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah. Unlike in Delver, it's like the first couple turns are important, and the last ones are either dead or they're dead.
Yeah.
You know? So, it's
awesome.
Interesting game matchups.
Yeah, yeah. I think, let's see, we've got about 10 minutes left in the round. Let's take a little,
Well, I was going to go ahead and just, if you want to go ahead and grab a water, I was going to get on the soapbox and talk a little bit about the Paris Mulligan.
The London Mulligan.
The London, whatever it's called. The Mulligan that's going to cause
All right, let's hit this London Mulligan. Let's hit the London Mulligan, and then we'll take a little break and be right back, folks. Okay. You didn't get to share your thoughts on the London Mulligan, so it's only fair.
All right.
That you have an opportunity.
I'll make this short. You guys can cut me off in 3 minutes to 8 minutes. London Mulligan, whatever it's called, that thing. First off, I think that when you take the rules of Magic, you fundamentally change the rules that the game is designed around. You know, taking away damage on the stack, that's one thing. That changes, that just changes like a mechanic of how, the cards play versus one another. But I think that when you change the fundamental rules, it's like saying, okay, we're going to start at 22 life or 23 life or 24 life. When you change those things a little bit, the game is calibrated around having 7 cards in hand, playing 1 land a turn, things like that. And it's been very carefully calibrated that way for a long time. But when you take the actual mechanics, like the baseline mechanics of the game, and you switch that up, that's when you end up with really big imbalances and understandings on how certain decks are working. I think it's good that they're trying it out in Modern first. I think that if Modern doesn't show how drastic of a change this is going to be, this is really going to wreck and be problematic for us Eternal players, myself included, legacy player for like 15 years, diehard player. I did have some gaps where I quit. I quit when Flash Hulk was around, even though it was only around for 3 months.
You just protested. Couldn't stand it.
I couldn't stand it, man. It just was one of those things where Wizards kind of neglected the whole community. And again, this is one of those things where Wizards, I feel like they're just kind of not really looking at the big picture. And if they want to really just kind of ignore the players that have been playing for a long time, the guy that owns his bazaars and has had them since since 2000 or whatever, like, and they want to start messing with that stuff, like that's when you really start messing with the core of the game, and that hurts me specifically because somewhere out there they might be trying to drive a bottom line, but that's it. I'm gonna go ahead and just sign off right there. I'm not gonna say anything else.
Interesting. All right. Well, folks in the chat had a chance to talk about it. I had a chance to talk about it. That's Jordan's take, folks.
Yeah, that's the hot take. That's me. That's the soapbox stand, right? Everyone can go ahead and respond to what I'm saying. I have no problems, saying something that might be considered to be controversial or not.
Jordan's hot take.
That's the hot take. That's it right there.
Folks, we'll be right back. We've got 2 more rounds of Legacy action to bring you tonight. Thank you so much for joining us. Michael Tessier and Jordan Isaka. We'll see you in just 8 minutes.
Don't sell out, Lomer boy.
All right, folks, welcome back. Thank you for tuning in. You are tuned into live Magic the Gathering action legacy format from Mox Boarding House Seattle. Thank you so much for joining us. Thanks for supporting the legacy community. We appreciate it. Hey, no. We're happy to be here. Thank you for tuning in and keeping this all alive. If it weren't for you watching these streams, commenting, saying what's up, and staying active in Legacy, we just wouldn't have a Legacy community. But it means so much that you're all out there and watching and tuning in week after week, so thank you. Hit that subscribe button or the follow button if you're not already, and make sure that you know when we go live. Jordan?
Yeah, there's a lot, and to be completely honest, there's a lot to watch. Card Kingdom actually has a lot of different streams. You know, we stream live on Thursdays. If you guys like to also play Modern as well, we stream Modern from there on Thursdays, starting at I think 6:30, similar time, and it goes 4 rounds. They have a great casting community over there. I think Brad Rutherford heads it up. There's a couple other casters as well.
Yeah.
Zach Brady and a few others. Really pleased to be part of the Card Kingdom company.
Yeah.
And part of the Card Kingdom online presence, I have to say, it's always nice to go ahead and sit down and talk about my favorite format and potentially the favorite format of every one of our viewers as well.
Oh my goodness.
I think the one thing
Legacy.
that's the one thing that's the most important part, though, and so first off, we wouldn't be here if this store, this brick and mortar store, wasn't here.
Right.
But this store wouldn't be here if there wasn't such a great community that was built around it. So I think that the one thing, if I could do anything, is bring you guys these storylines of our favorite players, the ones who have been showing up and playing time and time again.
Yep.
Guys like Greg Mitchell, and guys like Jeremy Edwards.
Yeah.
Those are the reasons why I'm so excited to go ahead and say, hey, here's one of our favorite guys, and we're going to go ahead and watch him play.
It's just such a pride point that we get to share such a wonderful community with you all and have you be part of it too. It's just, I'm so proud that you are watching and commenting and being a part of this too.
And here's the other thing: is that's not to say that we're uninclusive either, because I think that it's one of those things where if you come,
exclusive is
right, absolutely right. The one thing I want to say is if you come in and you play a lot and you become a regular, there's a lot of people that have been coming in and sort of filtering in. Guys like and a lot of different players, and it's one of those things where the community is always shifting and growing, expanding and changing.
Right.
There have been times when I've left the community. There's been times when you've left the community. And so it's one of those things where it'll always be. It's nice to know that there's always going to be somebody who's kind of carrying that torch and carrying that banner forward.
Right. Yeah.
Regardless of, and so when you kind of orbit back around into the orbit of Magic the Gathering and into that inner orbit of Legacy, there's always going to be that core, that diehard core of players, regardless of who's coming in and who's going out. So, Legacy is really, it's just a fantastic format. It always has been, and hopefully it will be for the future.
Yeah, I was thinking about this, and this is it's kind of a wider conversation, but I was thinking about the future of Magic, right? We've been playing it since essentially 1993, 94, right?
Yeah, some of us, I'm sure, out there have been our Alpha Beta guys.
Yeah, for me, it's been since
super impressive.
1995 when I started.
That's really impressive.
That's really early. 95, the summer of 95 is when Ice Age came out, and that's when I started.
Okay.
Summer of 95. Okay.
I remember opening a Scaled Worm. I do remember that. I also remember, I think my first rare was from Visions. So I got Visions packs, and then, of course, you would buy the older stuff because it's like, it looks so crazy.
I had no idea what the rares were. I didn't know. I was like, I don't know if this is a rare or not.
I knew the card that I opened was rare because it was a dragon. Of course, right?
Yes,
of course.
Okay.
Anyways.
Catacomb Dragon?
It was Canopy Dragon. It was the green one.
Yeah,
it was
that one's cool.
Close.
Yeah.
Catacomb's the coolest one, though.
That one's cool. Okay. So, but here's the thing: is I wonder. It's been 25 years of Magic.
Yeah.
I wonder if we'll still be playing in another 50. Like, is this our version of chess or bridge or whatever that just grows with our generation, and as we continue to age, we'll continue to find the people who play Magic and play with each other even when we're really old?
That's a good question. I think it's one of those things that will always expand and contract. I think currently, especially in the current iteration of understanding streaming and things like that, it's in the expansion stage. But there will be a time out there where it will be, it will be shrinking. It will have some downturns.
Sure.
And people will be leaving the game.
Yeah.
I mean, I can think of multiple times when that occurred. I think the first time was when the first Mirrodin block came out, and Affinity was running around, and nobody wanted to play that format.
Urza Saga when that came out as well.
Yeah,
Same
yeah.
thing.
And I think
Yeah.
another time was like when Theros came out. There was a big retraction in players, specifically because the year before it was like Return to Ravnica and Modern Masters came out. The first
Sure.
one.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
you
And
know,
earlier than that, Innistrad. I think Innistrad had one of the just biggest booms in
oh,
Magic.
it was so fun because
That made a huge
it had
difference.
a lot of really nice flavored plays. And another big positive was when Lorwyn came out, and there was like the whole fairies, goblins, tribes thing. So there's always been different flavors that really have captivated and grown the player base. But I think the most magical thing about Magic, and you guys can go ahead and say, "Oh, Jordan, you're just saying that because you're so nostalgic." But the magical thing about Magic is that once you have tasted it, once you have played it a little bit, there is always the opportunity to go back and play it some more. You know?
Yeah, that's true.
Once you have owned some cards, and you decide, okay, I want to put the game down, you always have that opportunity to go ahead and relive what it was like when you were playing with your friends, and you wanted to go ahead and experience a community.
Yeah, it's a really powerful.
That reconnection, people don't necessarily have it. Let's say I want to play sports, I want to play basketball,
Sure,
and I put basketball down, and I want to go back and pick it up again.
It's a different game.
I might be out of shape, I might. There's just things
everyone's been evolving.
I can't do what I used to be able to do physically.
Yeah.
But with Magic, the nice thing about that is you can always come back to the game. It's always going to be there. You can always use your cards, or your cards might increase in value, and you can trade them into things that are more relevant now.
Yeah,
so
absolutely. And I have a point about that too, in the sense that I wonder, in a way, is Legacy the actual
that's funny.
The actual most accessible format because you can leave it and come back in.
That is, wow. That's, wow.
Table 5.
Oh my goodness. I want to say
because it's so unlike standard. You can't leave standard for 2 years, come back in and have the same knowledge, and it works. That's
true.
It's all different.
That's true.
You can't even with modern. The metagame shifts so quickly.
Yeah.
That the metagame today is not even okay. Setting aside Twin Ban. Even since Twin Ban, the metagame has shifted drastically. It's Grixis Phoenix and those decks like Dredge and things like that. So different than what came out directly after the Twin Ban, right?
Yeah, that's a good point.
So these formats kind of just pass you by, and while you're taking a break from Magic and they pass you by, they change so much, whereas Legacy kind of just turns. Right?
Yeah, that is true.
And as long as you have a full knowledge of all the parts, as it turns, you just might just be in a different part of the globe. But you know the whole globe. Once you know the whole globe, then you can always play Legacy.
Yeah, and I think that the one thing that really stands out about Legacy is that let's say that here's the world, right? And there are spokes that connect you to the world.
Sure.
So each spoke.
Okay, we're going deep on this.
Oh,
metaphor.
sorry. Yeah, each spoke might represent one different pillar of the game. So Brainstorm, or So there might be a few spokes, but once those spokes get to the actual decks that they build, they build like an insane amount of decks after that.
Mm-hmm.
So the initial build from that is saying, okay, all the decks are relatively similar in characteristics, but after you go ahead and you get past those initial cards, those decks are very diverse. They all do very different things, right? I think so. I think the comparison is like Aether Vial, Chalice of the Void, Brainstorm, and I think it's like mainly those three, and maybe some other cards too. I'm sure there's other cards out there, but Chalice of the Void, Brainstorm, and Aether Vial.
Yeah, agree. That's the Nels summed it up a little bit better than I did. Easiest to return to, but not most accessible.
Yeah.
But you can always come back. You can always come back to Legacy.
It's nice.
And 90% of what's going on.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
That's not the case. In,
And very nice. I think we've got an update here. Sorry, is someone going to work on this?
No.
What do we got here? We got Tyler Markland versus. Excuse me one sec, guys. We're going to go ahead and get this updated.
Already forgot.
Okay. No problem. No problem. We'll go ahead and just grab the TO when they get around here. Tyler Markland's probably on something rogue. He's crazy. I've seen this man play a Heritage Druid combo.
We've got Burn.
Oh, nice.
On the right. And I believe this is a 1-1 Burn, I believe. And this is a... No, I take that back. It's a 2-0 Burn list against a 1-1 Yuriko.
Oh, it's ninjas.
Grixis.
Wow, where's Scary Rar?
Yeah.
Where's Michael Wallio? Michael Wallio, if you're in the chat, shout out to you.
Well, it looks like Sam Riljack is in and is a fan. He's playing Grixis 2-for-1 Tribal last Thursday. Yeah.
Sam Riljack. He knows the pain. He knows the pain. That was a tough match. For sure in top 8. Miracles versus ninjas.
So, how do you like this matchup? Grixis versus Yuriko Grixis specifically against Burn.
Well, I think that Grixis decks traditionally have had trouble versus Burn, specifically because they don't have a lot of good tools to not die. One of the big advantages that blue-white decks have is they have good permanents in play that can stabilize them. And I think that white decks do a better job at blocking overall than Grixis decks. But it's going to be on. I mean, if Tyler can really run the tank dry, run the Burn player dry, and is able to answer some of these early threats, he'll be okay. But if he takes too much chip damage, too many fetches, he's going to be in trouble.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So first turn plays from Joey is a Monastery Swift Spear, pinging in for 1. Tyler's going to go ahead and crack the fetch and get a Foil Arena Swamp.
That's a nice one.
Yeah,
that's a nice one.
It's pretty cool.
I think that's
Ice Age art.
Yeah. I was gonna. Oh, and it's gonna be
Cabal
Therapy.
Wow. What are we naming? Bolt?
I think it's Fire Blast, but
you named Fire Blast?
Yeah, I named Fire Blast because it's simply the biggest. Wow, and Eidolon too. So he's on 1 mana.
Chain Lightning, Lightning Bolt, Eidolon, along with a Monastery Swift Spear.
And what's on the end?
That's
a dangerous one. That's Exquisite Firecraft.
Exquisite Firecraft.
And Firecraft uncounterable with 2 spells in the bin. So
not bad.
Tyler Markland add an effective 14.
So not sure what Tyler actually named, but it wasn't one of those cards. Goblin Guide off the top. Not bad for Joey. You played out the Swift Spear or Goblin Guide? There's a Goblin Guide.
Get him
some more damage, huh?
Yeah, gotta be the guide.
Okay. We're going to swing in for 3.
Volcanic
Island.
Get the land.
Free land for Tyler.
Free land, but certainly difficult as, once Joey finds a second mountain, it's going to be big trouble for sure.
Force of Will in hand for Tyler. Not bad.
Okay.
No second land.
We're in it. This Eidolon, if this Eidolon gets forced and Tyler has a couple of removal spells, I can't imagine Tyler having too many removal spells here, though, only because he would have loved to play them on that Swift Spear in the previous turn.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think I'd do that as well instead of trying to fire off that Cabal Therapy. Here comes an island, an Arena Foil Island. Ice Age art, yet again.
Yeah.
What are you going for here if you're Tyler?
I think you're going for probably Baleful Strix. It's your best play.
Yeah,
if he has it. I think based off of the cards in hand for Joey, though, you got to be careful because Joey's got a lot of removal in hand, and it's most likely going to be casting Lightning Bolt or Chain Lightning. Probably Chain Lightning here. Yeah.
There's another Chain Lightning.
I kind of just like sitting and bolting here and then just getting in. You know that Tyler's going to force a response, but you're going to bait out. It's going to be 3 damage here.
Sure, yeah.
Oh, interesting.
There's a Monastery Swift Spear, so just going to go ahead and trade off one of these creatures.
I think this is a better play from Joey. I think that's Jace.
Probably
Vern's Prodigy. Yeah.
Vern's Prodigy, yeah. Mm-hmm. Indeed,
it's Liliana.
Oh, Liliana. Heretic Cathar.
Wow, that's a crazy one. I think it has lifelink, I think.
Oh, What?
Yeah, I'm not even kidding.
You're-
That card is
I think
really
you're right.
ridiculous.
It's a 2/3 with lifelink, right?
Yeah,
there it is.
Yeah, it's like walking
Oh
Vampire Nighthawk.
my goodness, that's actually really good in this matchup.
Yeah, that's insane. That actually just like makes my head explode. I have no idea why that card is anywhere near Tyler's 75, but in this position, this is what it's here for, I guess.
That is unreal. Tyler just
Tyler.
almost as if he knew what he was playing against.
Tyler,
Just
my guy. I mean,
shuffling in the
you want to talk
Vampire
about.
Nighthawk.
Here's the thing about Tyler. Tyler has got, as far as deck construction and deck design goes, Tyler has some of the most complex deck construction I've ever seen out of a player. Yeah, it's amazing.
What are some of the other decks that Tyler's played? He's been pretty famous for playing the Mill deck, is that right?
He played Blue Black Mill. He played
Yeah.
Heritage Druid combo for infinite mana, and then he made like Spawnslayer of Ulamog. The one time he played 4-color Berea with like, Berea with like artifacts and like the ready Icono Genius or whatever. And this guy like somehow he wins with these decks.
Yeah.
And I'm just watching him play, and it's like unbelievable.
That's awesome.
You know what's crazy is I play Magic. I used to think I played Magic a lot, and I didn't have enough time to play other colors other than Jeskai.
Mhm.
But for some reason, this guy can figure out how to play all these different decks, all the time, and it's really impressive.
That's awesome. Tyler going to fetch out a basic Swamp. Playing around that Price of Progress, very valuable here.
Yeah.
We're probably just going to see the Liliana trotted out, so he doesn't take 3 to the face. And there it is. Liliana, Heretic Cathar,
That's
folks.
so wild.
It's just a 2/3 with lifelink, but
But if your creature dies, it flips, I think. Or like makes a zombie and
it makes
flips.
a zombie, yeah.
So like gaining 2 is a really big game in here, and then it does all sorts of crazy stuff on the other side.
Yeah. Wow. Wow. In for 1 with the Pimple Strix.
That's risky.
Not holding it back for a blocker.
I like blocking here, but
Yeah.
I mean, Tyler's,
gonna sacrifice it for Cabal Therapy.
that makes a lot of sense.
Big time play from Tyler Marklin, and he's definitely naming Chain Lightning here.
Oh wow!
Gonna get a
He
2
also-
for 1. Get a zombie.
What?
Wow.
I'm sorry. I just yelled there, but I'm just the amount of this man is just outrageous.
Tyler Marklin with that Chain Lightning name for sure, right?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if he knows what other cards. I mean, I could see him taking Bolt. He takes Bolt here, right? Only because Bolt's the most powerful card. I don't think he knew he had a second chain.
Oh, okay. Yeah, you're
Yeah.
absolutely right. Yeah, only we
Okay,
did. That's
that,
right.
That Cabal gets exiled here.
Yep.
But I think Tyler will know.
Okay.
Oh, he gets it back.
Oh, with the Liliana.
Oh my
That
gosh.
is so sick.
This is outrageous.
That is so sick.
Oh yeah, now
Okay,
he knows. Yeah,
finds
now
the
he
Cabal.
got it.
Okay, good. We don't have to correct that.
What
That is
in the world?
okay. Swing.
Dude, that is crazy.
Swing for 6. Down to 9.
So untap and drop
Pass it
for
back.
Joey.
Oh, excuse me.
Yikes. This is crazy.
This is amazing.
What? What is going on?
This is completely unreal, folks. If you thought you were tuning in just for some run-of-the-mill legacy, you were wrong.
Yeah, we actually have had some of the craziest legacy. Josh Muggs, are you watching at home, sir?
This is okay. There's that Chain Lightning.
Oh, we like Chain
Gonna target
Lightnings.
Liliana. the
Chain
flip
Lightnings that don't
Liliana.
go to face, we like those.
That's helpful for Tyler.
Yeah, we like those a lot.
Power up his Monastery Swift Spears here. And just think about this, though. How much would this game be over if Joey had two mountains?
Yeah, it would be way over. But, I mean,
But no, the one mountain, and he's an... Oh, what?
do you think about forcing here?
Yeah, I think Tyler's thinking about the force. And I think you force it.
Yeah, I think
He's
so.
going to. Okay. Tyler's down to 8. Gonna pitch a Brainstorm to that frame. Force of Will.
That's the new frame, right? That's the that's that Jace.
That's that Jace spellbook.
That's that Jace.
You got that Jace spellbook
It's a nice one.
frame, though.
Oh, look
Clean.
at that.
Real clean.
Oh, real clean.
Badlands off the top. Another free draw. This Goblin Guide's drawn him 2 cards now.
I think we got to move to blocks here, Tyler. I think we gotta stack them up. Gonna line them up and knock them down.
Taking a look here. There's a block. Bye-bye Goblin Guide. Bye-bye Zombie Token. Bye-bye Liliana. Flipped.
Interesting.
Tyler saved himself a lot of life that turn, though.
Absolutely.
That was 3, 6, 9 points of damage that he just saved himself.
Yeah, and also there's a Fire Blast in hand for Joey right now, but so a second land is certainly going to be a big game. All right, top deck from Tyler. The momentum. You know what I would not be surprised if Tyler had something like Kalidas, that 4-mana 3/4 lifelinker that like does all sorts of wacky things.
Oh, there's a Eureka. There's a Eureka. That was a swing from Baleful Strix,
Did that come from the command zone?
followed by
Where did that come from?
Eureka Ninjutsu.
Tiger Shadow.
Let's tell the folks at home what Eureka does.
Eureka is crazy. It's a 3-mana 1/3, so it's essentially the same stat line as
Ophidian.
Yeah, Ophidian, or the more I guess the more closely related John Finkel.
Sure.
Shadow
Yep,
Mage Infiltrator.
Yep.
So it's got Commander Ninjutsu, which means that it can either come from your hand or come from the command zone. I'm almost certain that came from the command zone. But anyways, whenever a ninja you control deals combat damage to a player, reveal the top card of your library and put that card into your hand. Each opponent loses life equal to that card's converted mana cost. So, and if he hits Force of Will, it's a big deal. Wow, and he's got Spellstutter Sprite too in his deck. That's so sick.
Yeah, so that was the reveal off of that Eureka, was the Spellstutter Sprite. Now Baleful Strix follow-up is going to draw him a card.
Hey, I mean, Tyler does have to be careful. One mountain could be, bolt, chain.
Oh, and there's a Fire Blast.
Wow.
Joey, still
There's
no second mountain.
so many cards here.
Yeah.
But he could do it. I mean, Chain Lightning here is reasonable. Chain Lightning on your guy, attack for 4.
Okay, swing for 4. Tyler's down to 4. What does Tyler need to find to stay in this game?
I think he needs, Cletus plus Force. I think.
Spellstutter Sprite, not going to do it.
That's the second Spellstutter Sprite. I mean,
There's a couple pair of blockers.
I love Spellstutter Sprite, but man, that card is not good sometimes.
Not looking good here.
Yeah. Oh,
there's a Cabal Therapy. All right. This is likely going to... And he's also going to see this Fire Blast, so he's not going to get caught off guard with the Fire Blast. Is he going to name Eidolon here and get a 2-for-1?
Yeah, it's possible. I mean, I think he's just weighing his options. He knows there's Eidolon already in hand for Joey, and a second land potentially could be that.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Tyler's just like, oh. That's one of those, have you ever played, there's a card called Curse Scroll?
Yeah, of course.
And it's like, you activate it, and you shuffle your hand, and then they pick a card, and you name a card, and they pick one.
Yeah.
And it always happens you have 3 cards in hand when you name with Curse Scroll.
Yeah.
And you always name Fire Blast. And the thing is, they're all Fire Blast.
That's pretty good.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Those early slide decks.
Yeah, that's right.
Curse Scroll, Jackal Pup, Fire Blast.
Chain Lightning, Lightning
Those
Bolt.
were good days. Goblin Guide, going to hit the board for Joey France.
Tyler in defense mode, and I think it's time to... Oh, baby.
Yeah. Spellstutter
that just made me so happy right there.
Big time play from Tyler Markman, that Spellstutter Sprite.
Yo,
let's swing in anyway with 2 1/2s.
Oh, I think Tyler's thinking about a stack block. Yeah, he's going to go ahead and do that.
Yep, bye-bye Spellstutter Sprite.
Yeah, but he's going to take 1.
Take 1. So now Tyler's down to 3. Though.
So he's called to bolt off the top. We know that Tyler's got the backup Spellstutter.
Yep.
Really just going hard in the paint. And here's the thing: if Tyler was a connoisseur of deck construction, he would know that he needs, in order to cover his Spellstutter Sprite's weakness of 2 mana for one drop, he needs to play Spell Snare, because Spell Snare is 1 mana for a 2-drop. See, that's how you do the design. You can't just. You got to use the design the proper way.
Yuriko is going to... Oh,
what is that?
Goodness gracious. That's the... your opponent sacrifices a creature when it comes into play. Or both players sacrifice a creature when it comes into play.
Oh, is that like Fleshback Marauder?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Is that what it's called?
But it was in standard.
Okay.
Plague Crafter.
Plague Crafter. Yikes.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like a flesh bag, right?
Yeah, it's like flesh. it's like
each player who can't discards a card.
I love how that's the short term for that card is flesh bag. Yeah, it's like flesh bag.
Flesh bag. I guess is it better? Is it better?
Well, the Fleshback Marauder was the first printing of that card. It was the first time they made that version of that card. I think.
Yeah, I think that one's better. Plaguecrafter's better.
Yeah.
There's the Plaguecrafter. Bye, Monastery Swiftspear.
Fleshbag.
Wow. So Eureka just kind of drew Tyler 2 cards, which is pretty sweet.
Yeah.
That's actually really good.
Oh, here comes. Oh,
Eidolon.
I think we have responses, sir.
What?
Do we?
Like what?
Like,
well, you just have
playing
have to play
Spell
out
for
the Spell Stutter Sprite?
I mean, you're either gonna take 2 or, you know. I guess Tyler, the reason why he's holding on is because he wants to play one more spell, like a removal spell or something.
Sure, yeah. Hennefer pointed out that Plague Walker also hits. Plague
Walkers
Crafter
too?
also
Oh,
hits
okay.
Planeswalkers.
That's important.
Yeah.
And probably really important because Black or Grixis traditionally has trouble versus Planeswalkers unless it's playing Dreadbore. Yeah, Tyler's actually giving him the shrug because he has no idea what to do.
Yeah. Yeah, this he's gonna ninjutsu in this
Oh, that doesn't
Eureka.
count as casting.
No.
But he will take damage. Oh. If he flipped over
Brainstorm.
what's that card called? Emrakul.
That'd be great. Combo.
Big time combo.
Okay, so
15
just a
damage combo.
brainstorm. I think Tyler is out of this one now.
Yeah, I think he's out of the woods.
No,
Unless-
out of the game.
Yeah, out of the woods.
game.
Yeah,
Out of the game.
Tyler's out of the woods.
Ty-
And into the next game.
Yeah.
All right. Well, untap from Joey.
This is a pretty cool game.
It's crazy.
I
This
was
is weird.
glad to see every part of this game.
Yeah.
What's that? Is that a different art for a card?
Bam.
I'm sorry,
oh
folks.
yeah, that's Lava Spike.
That's a new lava spike?
Yeah, that's that new Lava Spike right there.
That new lava spike.
Boom.
There
Coming at
goes
you for-
Eidolon.
Coming at you.
Is that a new lava spike?
Yeah, new Lava Spike.
No.
That's the new one. I swear, that's the new one.
Is
Look it
like-
up. Lava Spike.
We don't have it. We don't have that
Oh,
card.
that's the new art.
There comes the fire blast.
Should
Tyler
be-
Markland's done.
Yeah, it could be Lava Dart. Bang.
Lava dart.
I know all the burn
Joey
cards.
France is going to win this one on burn, game 1. We're going to go to game 2. And we're taking a look at Tyler Markland with Yuriko Grixis.
Man, that's cool. It's a cool one.
Oh, pretty cool. I like that ninjutsu. Is he playing Ninja of the Deep Hours as well?
Probably, especially if he's playing sprites and
we
he's
saw
playing.
Liliana Heretic Cathar.
Well, maybe he's not playing. Well, he has to be playing Ninja of the Deep Hours,
Right.
If all you're doing is trying to ping with
Spell Stutter Sprites.
yeah, and just like ninjutsu in, that can't seem like a great position to be in.
How many Snapcaster Mages do you play in this deck?
I know that
1, 2, or 3?
what's it called? Played a lot.
Cool.
Because I was always, and the reason why it might be a lot is because I've always told my Wally, man, Snapcaster Mage, especially if you have these bounce triggers and stuff, it's got to be like one of your best cards. Like Snapcaster Mage, especially if you're playing Grixis, if you're playing my Fae build,
Yeah.
Snapcaster Mage, any creature with Flash was really good. You had Sword of Fire and Ice on the table, and then boom, any Flash creature is really lethal. It's really painful.
Yeah.
2 damage anywhere, plus you draw an additional card. Like that's a big swing.
Big time.
Yeah.
Big time. Okay. We're going to game 2, folks. This is live Legacy action from Mox Boarding House, Seattle. You're listening to Michael Tessier and Jordan Isaka. Thank you so much for tuning in. This is round 3 out of 4 that we are bringing you tonight. So glad to have you as part of our stream.
Here's what I'll say. Tonight's decks that we've had on camera, we've had a few decks that are kind of run-of-the-mill, top tier, top percent tier decks. We've had Blade.
Mhm.
We've had Blue-White Delver.
Yeah.
But more interestingly, we've had some strange ones, some weird ones. Right?
Yeah, yeah.
Being able to see like the control combo variant of Dragon, as well as, and we got to see the Dragon deck combo with Dragon, which I thought was pretty cool. Got to kill with Stroke of Genius one time. And then the other time, we got to see Jeremy Edwards kind of craft his way around playing versus blue, and kind of showing that it's not necessarily slamming spells when you're playing Eldrazi.
Right.
There's some nuance and there's some finesse to it that's largely unseen. When you're on the receiving end of something like that.
Yeah, it just appears like they just top decked it every time. And when in fact, I did get to talk to Jeremy in between the rounds.
Yeah.
And he specifically said, I had Ulamog and Ugin in hand pretty much that whole time.
Right.
And he had a couple choices to make. And one of the possibilities was, okay, if I do draw a land, I can play out my Ulamog. So I don't need to just jam my Ugin here at any point, because once I do top deck a land, I can play the Ulamog and then just go from there.
Right.
The cast trigger will help me and so on. So I think that Jeremy's just such a master.
Yeah, he's a solid player.
Does he ever make a
certainly.
mistake?
I have. So here's the thing. I have seen him incorrectly value lines, right? So not necessarily that he plays the line wrong, but he'll value something based off of a perception that he has,
I see.
right? So
Yeah.
his mechanics aren't bad. Like he'll never make a mechanic where he'll forget to bounce Batter Skull,
Yeah.
right?
Or
But he'll-
Chalice of the Void.
Right.
Triggered.
But he'll make a mistake where he'll go down one line because he perceives something to be more apparent than it really is, right? So I think that there's a couple, in terms of mechanical play, toe to toe. I mean, he's certainly not going to force to will himself to death,
Sure.
right?
Most mistake-free Magic you've seen played here in
Mistake-free?
Seattle. Yeah.
Ooh,
I know my answer.
Martin Goldman Curse, maybe.
Ooh, good answer.
Martin Goldman Curse.
Nah, for me it's Sean Yu.
Sean, he's good.
When I watch Sean,
Oh, man.
when I watch Sean play Miracles, I'm like, not only do I think that every line he does is correct, but I also just can't ever. I don't think I could even come up with a reason why he would be wrong.
Oh, yeah. I think the thing is, I've attacked Sean on so many different levels. So here's the thing. In terms of crisp play, I think it's MGK. In terms of overall, just like general, like between those two things that I was talking about, balancing your mechanical play plus your line, being able to read lines, I think that has to be Sean Yu.
Yeah.
Sean Yu's the best at that.
Yeah,
So,
I think you're right.
So when
He's
you merge
so good
those two,
at switching the roles.
Yeah.
He knows exactly when to switch from control to aggro.
Yeah, when you merge those concepts together, then you get a player like that.
Yeah.
But
turn 1 Island from Tyler yielded a turn 1 Monastery Swiftspear from Joey, and now we're at an end of turn Brainstorm for Tyler Markland. Tyler did have the Force of Will, but opted not to force this Swiftspear.
Yeah, and one thing I will say is I don't think this is a good matchup for any variant of Grixis. I think a lot of times, I mean, one of the key pillars that you can see of why just the Grixis colors don't ever fare well versus Burn. If you look at the way that the modern Grixis control deck was playing versus Burn, they were even sideboarding cards like Vampiric Link, specifically so they could gain enough life so they wouldn't die.
Right.
Yeah. And especially when you have a deck like a Grixis Ninjas build, they're not going to have those strong, robust creatures like Grimag Angler. They're just going to have a lot more light finesse creatures, and that's kind of where the Burn deck can really punch through and do a lot of damage.
Yeah, and so Tyler, of course, really behind the 8 ball here. Needs to cobble together a defense that's stout enough to kind of run Joey out of cards. Is that essentially the goal, the role of the Grixis player in this matchup?
Yeah, I would certainly say so.
Exhaust your opponent's resources.
Being able to hit some critical Hymn to Taurox is nice.
Yeah.
Just being able to clean off a lot of the creatures and then being able to fight over the last few points of life. That's probably the most important thing. This is a spell snare, maybe.
Getting force, pitching force. You like the spell snare there.
Yeah, I think that if you
sleep
have
on that.
Yeah, spell snare is really slept on for sure. Especially because you can do something to find it. If you're on the play, you can find it on turn 2. You can go cantrip, spell snare.
Oh, there's a nice one. Liliana Heretic
my
Cathar.
Goodness. I can't believe that this card is just continuously seeing play here, but I mean, Tyler knows something that we don't.
We've seen it cast twice now, and I'm not sure if Joey has an answer to it in hand.
I think he's got
which is the biggest part.
He can actually aim that Firecraft at the Liliana.
He doesn't have the mana to play Exploding Firecraft.
He doesn't have. Okay, I thought he had his third.
Yeah. So he's got. I think, and we think that's a Lava Spike, right? He's just got Lava Spike and nothing else.
He's got Pyrostatic Pillar here. And I think this is one of those shrug. Like, is this going to resolve? And
yeah,
I think from Tyler's perspective, you got to be pretty happy when you're not taking damage.
Okay, so are you okay with letting? If you have a Force and Brainstorm, those are your 2 cards. Are you forcing this?
Yeah. The other issue is that Grixis doesn't have a good answer to enchantments. They actually just can't beat them ever.
Sure, yeah.
So I'm pretty sure it's likely that this Parasitic Pillar is going to deal him like at least 8.
Right.
I would be surprised.
I think you're right.
Yeah, Strix is going to go ahead and take
Strix.
2.
So Tyler had Strix forced land in hand and opted not to force the Pyrostatic Pillar. And now here's the Strix, which drew a Therapy.
But the Therapy, if he goes ahead and double clutches that, that's going to be... that's certainly going to be 4 damage at the very least.
Right.
So
here's a swing for 2 with the Liliana Heretic Cathar, which valuably has lifelink. Critical for Tyler in this situation. Tyler's going to go up to 16. And He's got a Baleful Strix sitting out there, which threatens to flip this Heretic Cathar.
Yeah, kind of crazy, and especially because Strix does such a good job blocking.
Yeah,
I think one of the
here's a third land for Joey, and he's going to have an Exquisite Firecraft. Tyler's not going to like this.
Hey, Ken, how's it going, man? Welcome.
Lethal Biscotti in the house.
Lethal Biscotti.
Welcome from Canada.
Yes, sir. That is exactly where he is from and where this Exquisite Firecraft is going to go. Right to Canada. Bringing down the fire.
I'm missing something in this metaphor. Joey
don't worry
Franz,
about it.
thinking about his turn, just found his third mountain. Thinking about where to aim this Exquisite Firecraft. Is the Fire Blast going to play a role in this turn? Not sure. Here comes 3. Here comes the Firecraft. There goes Liliana, Heretic Cathar.
I don't know if Joey has master spell mastery. We can't tell, but I'm sure he does.
Not relevant because Tyler doesn't have a second blue card in hand, or blue card in hand besides the Force. He does have the Cabal Therapy and opted not to use it.
I think we're blocking here. I think we're Christopher blocking. Yeah, that's a quick block here.
Block, Baleful Strix to the bin, Monastery Swift Spirit to the bin, and now Joey is sitting on some light resources. Exquisite Firecraft, Lava Spike, and double Fire Blast, which aren't good enough unless he finds a 4th land.
Wow, there's a lot of damage in hand.
That's a Rift Bolt there.
Yeah. It's going to be
Lava Spike you.
Spike you, yep.
Take 3, I take 2. 13 to 14 now. Tyler's...
Yeah, and again, I think the tough part about this Yuriko style deck is you're not going to do a good job in being able to race or trade.
Sure.
Like if he had like Vendilion Clique here or anything with 3 power for 3, that actually would be quite good in a position where he could starting flipping the table and putting Joey underneath his Pyrostatic Pillar a little bit. But
yeah, Rift Bolt suspended for Joey.
Yeah,
and back to Tyler. The Cabal Therapy and Force in hand at the very least. He can hard cast a Force now, but that would cost him 2 life. Actually 3 with that.
Oh no, it's actually Pyrostatic Pillar is 3 or less.
Oh, excuse me. Yeah. Oh, okay, yeah. So that would only cost him the 1 from the fetch land. Joey fired off that Rift Bolt at Tyler, took 2 in the process.
Wow, he's drawn another Firecraft too, so just a massive amount of uncounterable burn.
You take 4, says Joey.
Yeah, that was a very this is what's happening this turn,
Yeah.
Kind of reminds me of when people play Abrupt Decay. You're like, oh yeah, that resolves.
Yeah, yeah. Joey now with 2 Fire Blasts and a Chain Lightning in hand.
Another land for Tyler, and
Man.
I think he's gonna have to figure out where he wants to try to stabilize. But I mean, being at 9 life, is that 6 or 9? That's 9.
6.
Right? Oh, it's 6 life.
Yeah, it's,
that's got to be
player.
it.
Okay.
Chain Lightning you.
Tyler now down to 3.
And I think you just pass. I mean, you've got the win in hand. There's no sense in going for Fire Blast here.
I think Tyler's thinking about the Spell Stutter Sprite here.
That could be possible, but I mean, again, if he counters, it still does the same amount of work, right? He just wants it to deal 2.
Yeah.
Firecraft next turn. I mean, we're really seeing how powerful and how much control and command Burn has over a deck like Grixis.
Right. Even with a Liliana Heretic Cathar in there.
Absolutely. A couple times,
games. Yeah. There is the Spell Stutter Sprite. Going to counter it. Tyler down to 4, though, off that Pyrostatic Pillar.
Yeah, here's where you would need a card like Umezawa's Jite or something like that. Joey thinking about 5. Oh, he's going to suspend Rift Bolt. Okay, and of course he can do this for absolutely no price.
Right. Rift Bolt suspended, and that might be the end of the game for Tyler Marklin with his cool Yuriko Grixis build.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of ways that Tyler potentially could win this game, and it involves certain amounts of lightning bolting or something. He wouldn't, even if he had lightning bolt here, it wouldn't be.
No, it wouldn't be good enough.
Wouldn't be enough.
And then Joey could
Fire Blast
just
back,
Fire Blast,
or just untap in Firecraft.
Yeah, Joey down to 7 now on the swing from Spell Stutter Sprite. I'm not sure what Tyler's perceived or bluffed out is here.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
What do you think?
I mean, it's got to be his best chance to win here is Jite. But it's unlikely that he plays Jite in his 75. Specifically because I think he's just trying to go for his deck is relatively greedy.
Yeah. Tyler all the way down to 1 off of that Rift Bolt off suspend, and here comes
Double Fire Blast.
Fire Blast U. Tyler's going to hard cast this Force of Will, but going to be very disappointed to see the follow-up.
All right. Well,
Fire
there
Blast.
there
Good
it is.
game. Joey France wins this game and the match. Burn will take down Yuriko Grixis in the hands of Tyler Markland. Pretty cool to see, though.
Yeah, certainly. And I think that kind of goes to show, just how sometimes you can have the most powerful decks. Let me go ahead and bring it back to the booth really quickly. You can have a deck that's well positioned and well designed and really well tuned for the decks you think are going to show up in the meta.
Right.
And when a deck comes in there that you say, okay, I'm going to go ahead and forfeit my matchup here.
Mhm.
I'm not going to design my deck so if I get queued up against them,
Right.
they're just going to get me.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And that mentality is certainly one of the things that allows players to top it on a consistent basis
Mhm.
because they're just going to go ahead and say, I don't want to, there's no way I can win if I face that deck.
Right.
I'm just going to focus on all the other matchups and try to make those 60%ers.
Yeah, I think so, absolutely. And I think in Legacy more than other formats because it is so wide open. If you play a 10 or 9 round day of Legacy,
Yeah.
right, there is
Yeah.
a chance that you play a deck that you literally never thought of that you would actually play,
Yeah,
right, against, right?
that's true.
That's like highly probable, right? Out of 9 rounds. At GP Seattle, right? I had no idea that I would play Manaless Stretch. I know it's a deck. I know it exists.
Yeah.
I didn't think that I would actually play it, and I lost to it.
Yeah. And
I lost.
another example, I was playing in that tournament, the tournament that I won last year for one of those 1Ks to qualify for the Invitational. I played against Triple Eldrazi, and then I played against Steel Stompy and Top 8. So out of the 7 or out of like the 9 matches that I played against 4 Chalice of the Void decks that were colorless. So you never really know what your balance of opponents are going to be like.
Yeah.
And I think that the hallmark, if you are trying to be a competitor, if you are on the outside, tough matchup.
The last 3 times you put me on stream here, I've ended up against Burn.
Yeah, you always bring something cool though.
Tyler said that it's been three matches in a row under camera where he's had to play against Burn. So
that happens sometimes. That's just how it goes.
Now you know if you're under cam again.
Yeah, you'll just
know
be up
to
against Burn.
Mulligan to your Liliana Heretic Cathar.
You should be playing white, man. That's how you beat it.
Tyler Markland, the creator of this specific version of Yuriko Grixis. Of course, we've seen Yuriko Grixis online, which is pretty cool. Some other new decks in Legacy we've seen. Let's talk about those.
Okay.
Grixis Phoenix.
Yeah, that deck is getting more and more popular. I would say that deck was actually relatively popular from the online streamer community. I saw Jarvis Yu playing it. I saw Caleb Smith playing it. Caleb Smith, I think.
Yeah.
White Faces. Just both those guys are fantastic, tremendous presences in the community. I will say that just watching both those guys go at it and play online, you really get a sense of the grinder mentality.
Yeah. So the deck is essentially Buried Alive, which allows you to put 3 creature cards from your library into your graveyard.
Has to be creatures.
Yep.
Can't be anything else.
Can't be Coffin Purge. Costs 2 and a black to do that. And it also plays Arclight Phoenix, which is a modern all-star right now, but is in this Legacy deck, Arclight Phoenix. Let's see, one of the recent sort of innovations that has always been present, but I think is becoming more prevalent now, is the existence of Dark Confidant in this deck.
Yeah.
How do you like that?
I really like the whole concept of taking a really tough, an Answer Me Now card, a card that you say, I'm going to play this, and you got to answer it now, otherwise I'm going to start accruing advantage, and it's going to be insurmountable.
Yeah.
I like pairing that with a really explosive style back end that allows them to say, hey, if I just start with this configuration of cards, you're immediately facing down 19 or 18 or 9 power.
Yeah, 9 power.
And I think that balance, that balanced attack really gives them the capabilities to go ahead and say, hey, we're going to be playing a couple different games here. They're going to have to pin me on one game and figure out how to beat me on that.
Yeah. How about some of the decks that are including Dark Confidant are eschewing Young Pyromancer, and some are having both.
Oh, are you talking about
Grixis Phoenix?
Very nice.
3-0.
Patrick Daly.
Patrick Daly is playing Nicole Fit.
Strutting his
So
stuff.
I think Arena Rector plus Nicole Bolas.
And that's, you know what, man?
Nick Fit type of deck, yeah.
That's beautiful. I'm sure
So
there are
cool.
people out in the
So cool.
in the chat that are like, yeah, let's see a Nick Fit deck.
Yeah.
Let's see basics in play and
Yeah.
giant spells being cast.
Veteran Explorer.
I think was I commentating with you that one fateful day? It was 12 post versus Nick Fit, and it was just like the most absurd game.
Just haymakers.
The most insane. Yeah, it was like the Nick Fit player got to sideboard in bribery, and then the post player got to bring in like another Eldrazi, and at one point it was like bribery, Flusterstorm back, and there was just like this insane fight that broke out. And
That's cool.
the decks get to do exactly what they want to do with their big mana, and so you're just sitting there watching like, wow. Just smash the toys together in the sandbox. Let's see what happens.
Yeah, absolutely. So, okay, Grixis Phoenix.
Yeah.
Relatively new deck. There's another new deck on the block, too,
Yes, sir.
that I am a fan of, just because it's sweet. I don't even know if this deck is good. Blue-Black Thieves, which is just blue-black control kind of with Thief of Sanity.
Okay. Well, there's a man out there in the Magic streamer community that would like to talk to you, sir. Blue-Black Thieves. We're not talking about Blue-Black Thieves. We're talking about four-colored Thieves. We're talking about Strifle. We're talking about Chase Hansen, sir.
But I wanted to talk about Blue-Black Thieves. But yes.
Let's talk about Blue-Black Thieves.
Strifo, yeah. I mean, Strifo, he brings it, man.
Dude,
right?
Yeah,
Chased.
He's gonna have all the nice ones too. He's gonna have Dak Faden, Punishing Fire. He's gonna have what's the one crazy thief that like destroys your opponent's brainstorms?
Oh yeah, Notion Thief.
Yeah. The real the god thief, like flash it in and make a story.
Pretty good thief. Okay.
Right. Anyways.
Blue-Black Thieves. With Thief of Sanity.
Thief of Sanity. So Thief of Sanity is the reason why it's called Blue-Black Thieves.
Yep, exclusively. Okay. Yeah. So I mean, it's pretty much just a blue-black control deck, but it has a top end, and its top is Thief of Sanity, a 2/2 flyer. And what you get to do is you get to look at the top 3 cards of your opponent's library when you hit them with it.
Okay.
You get to exile one of them
Yeah.
face down. They don't get to know what it is.
Okay.
And you get to play it at any time, but you get to use mana as though it was any color.
Any color.
When you're
right,
casting it.
Got it. Okay.
You
So
get one hit with this bad boy in, and I mean that's got to be sweet.
I mean,
That's got to be good.
I mean, listen. Listen. So you want to talk about 3-mana 2/2 flyers? I mean, listen. We can talk about a lot of 3-mana 2/2 flyers. I mean, original Hypnotic Spectre. What was the other one?
Yeah, Hypnotic Spectre, Abyssal Spectre.
Abyssal or
that was a 4-mana 2/2 flyer.
Hypnotic Spectre. What was the other one? The one from Ravnica. It was like black blue hybrid, triple black blue hybrid for a 2/3. When it dealt combat damage, you got to play the card from the top of your opponent's library, or you get to exile it and you can cast it as long as you control that. Nightveil Spectre.
Nightveil Spectre.
Yeah,
this is just much better. This is so much better.
I mean,
you get to look at 3 cards.
You could play Geissa's Trapped. I mean, that ends the game just as fast. Like that game.
Geissa's Trapped doesn't have flying.
But Geissa's Trapped is like a truck. It's like a ball lightning for 3.
Yeah.
I like ball lightnings. This card is... Okay, I get why you're excited about it.
Because it's sweet.
It's cool. It really is.
It's sweet.
And I think it's cooler when you get to beat your opponent with their own cards.
Yes.
Right.
So cool.
That's like kind of cool. That's the appeal. I think
cool.
if your opponent is playing 1-mana counters, that's really cool. or like 1-mana counters, or if your opponent's playing 1-mana hand destruction spells, that's really cool. If you get to hit them with Thief of Sanity, then him them with their own deck, that's cool, right?
Okay.
That feels really bad.
Yeah.
I think that probably feels almost as bad as getting their Hymn to Tark diverted at them, right?
That's sweet.
So in the world of sweet plays, it's a spectrum. It's not just this is the sweetest play we can think of. It's that there's a spectrum of sweet plays, right?
Yeah.
Notion Thief is on that spectrum.
Notion Thief. Okay.
Yeah. Notion Thief is on that spectrum.
What's on the very other end?
The other end of the spectrum
is
probably
like a turn 1 Birds of Paradise.
No, the other end of the spectrum is Blue-White Stoneblade.
Well, what's this? what's the play? What's the one play that's on the other end of the spectrum?
Turn 2 Stoneforge.
Turn two.
It's just boring. Like that's that. I think honestly, here's how I view like if I could view this in terms of just like understanding the various versions of Risk.
Mhm.
You can have a deck with really interesting design and
Yeah.
really like intricate,
Like Yuriko.
intricate card selection, right?
Yuriko
Or you can-
spell study spray.
Or you can really just play the Honda Civic,
Yeah.
the Toyota Corolla.
Yeah.
The Toyota Corolla of Magic is like Blue White Blade. It doesn't go that fast. It doesn't have a flashy play,
Mhm.
but a lot of times it'll just kind of get there
Get there.
off of off of
Sure.
consistency.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So is Thief of Sanity more of a like a Supra?
Thief of Sanity.
Is Thief of Sanity a Scion XC?
No, Thief of no, okay. Here's the car analogy for Thief of Sanity.
Okay.
Thief of Sanity would be like. I don't know, like a Miata maybe.
Oh, a Miata.
It would be like small and fast,
Uh-huh.
but like if your opponent ever catches you, they're just gonna destroy you. Like
Okay.
you're a small car.
All right,
you know?
all right, all right.
There
Okay,
you go. That's the analogy. That's the car analogy.
okay. Now after Thief of Sanity, okay, we've talked about one new deck, fairly kind of new deck. It was what the heck did we talk about? We talked about Blue Black Thieves.
Yeah.
And then right before that, we talked about the new Grixis Phoenix deck.
Yeah.
We've already talked about Blue White Delver Blade a little
Okay.
bit.
Yeah, that deck is kind of
Pretty
established
cool.
now.
Kind of does a lot of things.
Old
How
Turn the Wall
about
does a good job on that.
how about Blue Red Delver
Okay.
featuring Terramander and Light Up the Stage?
Okay, why are we playing Light Up the Stage?
Because it draws you cards. Kinda. You get to play lands.
Yeah. I mean, you're like. I think the analogy with Light Up the Stage is that you have to be attacking in order to get the value out of Light Up the Stage, right?
Yeah.
The issue that you have is that you could also be playing cards like you could be playing an attacking combat style deck and just play Chart a Course instead. And Chart a Course is a little bit less volatile overall than Light Up the Stage.
But Chart a Course costs 2 mana. Light of the
That's
Stage
true.
costs, when you're spectacling, 1 red.
That's true. I'm not going to disagree with that.
Yeah, yeah.
But I think
Big
that,
time difference.
Right.
And Blue
No.
Red Delver too, especially.
That's true.
Yeah.
But it's just solid card advantage versus, potential. I mean, like, and I guess how much mana is Light Up the Stage?
3.
3 otherwise?
Yeah.
They're playing Delver.
So here's the thing: is that if I'm not playing Light Up the Stage,
Yeah.
I'd rather be playing Preordain.
Really?
Yeah, I'm not gonna sub out Light Up the Stage and put in Chart a Course. I've already tried it. I
Okay.
hated it. I hated Chart a Course.
You don't like Chart a Course?
I liked it when I first, because I was so excited. I was like, "Oh, dude, how do I lose with this card?"
Yeah.
I didn't like it that much.
Okay.
But if I'm not trying Light Up the Stage, I'm just gonna play Preordains.
Okay, so there's 2 builds, right?
There are 2 builds now.
Right? There are 2 builds.
One of them is Terramander, Light Up the Stage, no Spell Pierce, which is what won the SCG Open
Okay.
most recently.
Yeah.
And the other build is classic
Chain
with,
Lightning, Lightning Bolt, Fire Blast. Not Fire Blast.
Pop.
Yeah, the other. Yeah. I
Stuff
like that. I like that
And
one.
Storm Chaser Mage
Yeah.
and Monastery Swiftspear.
Yeah.
The Terramander version does not have Monastery Swiftspear.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Because the Terramander version's going
It's
bigger.
a little grindier.
Yeah, going a little bigger.
It's got True Name Nemesis too,
Oh, yeah?
which the Haste
Uh,
version does not play. No True Name Nemesis in the Haste version.
3 mana is a lot.
It's a lot.
I kind of like the versions that were playing Risk Factor before. I think Risk Factor is a cool card.
Risk Factor's cool.
But the
I love
thing
Risk
about it is,
Factor.
they keep on. See, here's the problem. Matt, they keep on printing all these newfangled, let's try these new contraptions out, right? Just pick one. I don't care which one you pick. Pick a direction, go that direction. Who cares? Play all the funky cards you want. And if you want to play them all together, try that out too. I can't. The last time I played in a competitive event, I played 4 standstills and 3 factor fictions. And guess what? I got crushed. So you can play all the sweet cards you want. You're gonna get crushed. Don't get crushed. There you go. there you go.
This is how I feel about you playing.
And I was playing Sun Titan.
Is it
And I
over?
got to resolve Sun Titan.
Oh my goodness.
Was it sweet? Yes.
Captain
Was it-
QC letting us know Burn, Prowess Burn, and Tempo are the 3 versions of Blue Red. Which one of those has the Terramander, though?
Probably the Tempo build. Tempo.
I don't know. See, the Terramander card I don't think is actually a Tempo card. I actually think that Terramander is a long game card that just happens to enable other components of the deck.
Well,
And hits for 1.
okay. Here's how I view the spectrum of Delver. I think Delver is a spectrum.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah.
I keep on using my hands.
Young Peasy Stifle version. That sounds.
Ooh.
I haven't seen that one yet. I mean, I've seen it, but I didn't know that it was an actual
All the
rampant
way
thing.
at the bottom of the spectrum, you've got like Blue Red Delver with Fire Blast. Like that's like way out there. That's like I'm gonna rip your face off.
Sure.
Okay.
That's like Wild Nacatl, pretty much.
Yeah, I love that.
You're just
That's
playing
a cool
flying
deck.
Wild Nacatl.
That's a cool deck.
Yeah.
And then you kind of take it one step back, and then you got like Rug Delver with Stifle and a little bit of more control. Spell Snare, Spell Pierce, whatever you want to do. Technically, I was always a Spell Pierce guy. I never liked Spell Snare. Take it one step back, and I think you probably had like maybe about Grixis Delver, maybe about there. One step back, you get Bug Delver. One step back, you get and then of course Death Shadow's somewhere in there because it's a Delver deck, I guess. That deck just I don't even know where it fits on the spectrum because it can't win outside of combat, but it goes kind of big, right? And then one step back behind all that, you have Sultai Delver. Sultai Delver is like literally at the back end of the whole deck construction. It's kind of back there with like Jeskai Delver and Blue White Delver, because those decks are the decks where you start getting transitions into 3-drop Planeswalkers, 4-drop Planeswalkers. You can kind of see a bleed into other styles, right? But understanding the Delver spectrum and what you're facing is really important because it informs your decisions on turns 1 to 3, which are the most important turns for Delver.
Sure. Yeah.
Right.
Okay. Someone made a point about tempo. I want to say something about tempo.
Okay.
This is a term that gets thrown around a lot. Like a lot in Magic, and I don't think that it's always applied correctly.
Okay.
Tempo, when the concept was first created, it literally so long ago. This was like back in the days of Star City Games when Jeremy Edwards used to write for them. Like that's how long ago it was. Look for a Jeremy Edwards article on StarCityGames.com. And that's how long ago I'm talking. I'm talking like the dojo. I'm talking like we were talking about tempo on the dojo.
Okay.
Here's the thing about tempo. When we talk about tempo in Magic, it's like sort of morphed into a very strange thing. Tempo, the very basis of tempo, is not the same as aggro. Okay.
Agreed.
In aggro, you're literally trading. You're trading all of your cards
or late game resources for early game advantage.
You're trying to end the game before your opponent can leverage their resources. In this case, cards.
I agree.
Okay, that's aggro.
Okay.
In tempo, you're trying to leverage your resources before your opponent can utilize their turn resources. So, for example, in my opinion, the quintessential tempo card is Remand. Remand is the best tempo card. Tempo can also include cards like Spell Snare, where you're utilizing you're minimizing your opponent's ability to use a turn. So, for example, you're using your own single mana to prevent them from having a turn 2 play.
Okay.
That is also tempo. Delver of Secrets, we often think of as being associated with tempo. Delver of Secrets is a tempo enabling card. It enables the tempo game plan to have a win condition.
Yeah, I don't think anyone's disagreeing with you there, man.
Yeah,
I agree.
Yeah. However, we're talking about Terramander. Terramander is not a tempo card. Terramander.
I'm going to disagree. Go ahead. I'm going to disagree. But go ahead.
Terramander generates an advantage, but not until a much later stage of the game, which is not the same as tempo. Go on.
Okay. So here's where I think that you are correct in assessing where Terramander impacts the game.
Yes.
However, I think that Terramander's impact on the game in the way that it impacts the game in itself is a tempo-based play. And the reason why I say that is because Terramander is similar to Grimag Angler.
Yeah.
Like very in mechanics.
Yeah.
But the
Grimag
reason
Angler's
why,
not a tempo play.
but it absolutely is. Because
Thinking emoji.
the reason why is because when you play these cards, you're allowed to go like to ascend to a certain level, right? And to be at that level that's higher, that's bigger and stronger than any other position your opponent could be at potentially. But the thing is, you're allowed to do that while also interacting with your opponent.
Mm-hmm.
So a good example, and this might be a little abstract in my opinion, this might be a little abstract, but when you play Terramander and when you play Grimag Angler, it's kind of like playing Tarmogoyf. When you play Tarmogoyf on 2, he is actually just the most massive creature you can play on turn 2. Like, ever. Like, historically, he's just the biggest dude, right?
Yeah.
And the reason why he's such a good tempo play is because he's larger than anything else could be at that point, and it still allows you to mess with your opponent. So you go way up the curve, way up the curve. Your opponent might need a 4-drop, or a 3-drop, or a 4-drop specifically to answer that.
What you're saying is that any card that beats the curve, is ahead of the curve, is a tempo card?
It allows you to go ahead and play ahead of your opponent while also allowing you to control your opponent on those subsequent turns. So that's the reason why, like when you see Daze getting played by bouncing a land without any creatures in play, that's tempo negative. It's a negative tempo play, right? But when you see Daze getting played with a creature in play, that's tempo positive, right? Because now your opponent is unable to utilize their full extent of their mana. Let's say they're playing 3 mana for True Name.
Do we want a sweet one or an interactive one? Oh, sweet and interactive. Okay, let's just go.
What do you got?
We're gonna do table 1.
Who's table 1?
Table 1?
Oh, sick. Oh no, but no.
It's okay. It's okay.
We could have had.
You want table 2?
Nah. I don't want to watch Elves. Well, if we watch Elves, we can go home early. That's a joke. That's a joke. That's a joke. That's a joke.
Table 2 might be more interactive, but table
good.
1's gonna be
Table 1's
sweeter.
Sweet. Yeah.
It's gonna be sweet.
Table 1's way sweet.
Is there another round coming up?
Yeah,
thanks for asking.
absolutely there is.
You know, we just listened to literally like 4 minutes of Jordan going off on Grimag.
Talking about Grimags, man. Talking about Terramander and Grimag.
Okay, folks, we are about to enter our 4th and final round of Legacy action tonight. Michael Tessier, Jordan Isaka in the booth for you. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thanks for listening to our little rant about
all sorts of things. We talked about the new Mulligan rules. We talked about new Legacy rules.
Just
we talked
everything.
about
that was sweet.
I mean, hey, this is why casting's fun. We got to be in there with the community. We got to be interacting.
Oh yeah.
Watch some cool Magic, and then
we are bringing back a deck that we all really enjoyed in round 1.
Oh man!
Why don't you tell them what it is?
We're bringing back Grixis Dragon, and I think if people don't know that Greg's on Dragon, they'll know now. I think the other thing that's really cool is Greg is a battler, which means he will never draw. And under any circumstances, he will always fight.
Always, never draw, never handshake.
Yeah. And of course, to meet somebody like Patrick Daly in top 8 has got to be a treat, because Patrick's been fighting all this time, trying to get that 4-0, and he's always played some really interesting and fun decks. Of course, I think that was a poker roll.
Poker roll. To see who goes first.
That looks like either a straight or an actual Badugi. Badugi, of course, one of each, and not great.
That's a para 7, 8? No.
Pair of 8s?
I don't even know.
You get a pair of 8s.
We'll find out who goes first
dice.
by whoever says I'm keeping first.
Yes, sir.
Greg Mitchell on your right, playing Grixis World Gorger with Jason Strix. Patrick Daly on your left, playing Nicole Fit. That's going to be a Nicole Bolas Nick Fit deck, which includes Veteran Explorer, Arena Rector, and an assortment, likely, of fine planeswalkers.
An amalgamation.
An amalgamation.
There you go.
There's Greg Mitchell. And he's not 2-0. Excuse me. Both of our players are 3-0 tonight. Both of these decks, which both of these decks are kind of like go over the top decks.
Yeah, they are way over the top, for
right?
sure.
And they both went 3-0 tonight. Is this a super fair meta?
I think it's one of those things where both players understand how they want to attack their opponents.
Yeah.
And all the opponents that play against them don't really know how they're going to respond, right? So that can be a little difficult.
Yeah.
You know, you end up losing out of nowhere when your opponent's deck is widely unknown.
Yeah.
The capabilities of it. Like I would say, if you and I were to go and play Greg now, we would have a better idea of what he's capable of doing.
Sure.
Right.
Yeah. We are about to hit our round 4, our 4th and final round of Legacy action tonight. We're broadcasting live from Mox Boarding House, Seattle. This is Michael Tessier and Jordan Isaka in the booth for you. These are 2 of our 3-0 decks from tonight. Our other 3 3-0 decks, let's take a look at our first turn starting 7 here.
Oh, wow.
You know, Patrick already has some cards. He's got Lingering Souls in there. There's a Arena Rector. And I'm not sure what the green card was. Wargorger Dragon and
an Exhume. Is that an Exhume? I'm not quite sure. It's kind of weird.
Can't be Exhume.
It could be.
Could be.
It wouldn't get. It
wouldn't help the Wargorger Dragon.
Yeah. But it could be.
Taking a look here at our other 3-0s for the night, as both of our players just had a land go for their turn. Randy Yao played Elves. Robin Hartshorn on Steel Stompy, and Joey France, whom we just saw last round on Burn. Those are our 5 3-0s for the night.
Absolutely.
Greg doing a good job of showing us his hand, him, Entomb, Force, Baleful Strix, and Fatal Push.
I have to say, playing him to Torok in a combo deck is a little strange.
Look, Greg is playing Fatal Push, him to Turok, Baleful Strix, and Jace the Mind Sculptor, and he's fitting that all into a Worldgorger Dragon combo deck. But you can't argue with the results, Jordan.
He's
true. 3-0. There's
true.
A Collective Brutality, going to pitch this Lingering Souls, and I'm not sure what Patrick named. Probably a discard, though.
Yeah, he probably named discard and drain, maybe.
Yeah.
And I think the reason why, that's actually kind of interesting. He's almost considering the fact that I think if Patrick didn't discard here, Greg would have been more likely to not force. But because Patrick went ahead and shipped a card to the bin, Greg's going to Greg's just going to go ahead and brainstorm and try to hide some cards here. That makes a lot of sense.
So how do you like this matchup, Jordan, in general? What do you think is going to happen here?
Okay, first off, don't ask me about a matchup when it's 2 decks called Nickel Fit and Worldgorger Dragon. That's not really a matchup that I could mechanically say, hey, I know the percentages. I know it matters. Because in all honesty, I really don't. What I will say is, when I'm watching these 2 decks, you know, the Dragon deck is a combo deck. It controls, but it can win the game quickly. The Nickel Fit deck, it wants to kind of build up and ramp up and then start deploying threats. I would think that the Dragon deck is a little bit better situated to go ahead and defend itself and also attack the resources of Nickel Fit deck. The one thing that's tough about Nick Fit or Nick Fit variants is they interact relatively small amounts before they go ahead and hit those big timings. So that's certainly really important. Now, when you're looking at just kind of the overall makeup and structure of these 2 decks as well, I think it's really important to understand that if Patrick Daly starts to accelerate a little bit too much, he's going to run into a lot of problems where Greg's going to have too many resources, too many lands, and he'll be able to do too many different things at once. I would like to note that I think that's it's either an Exhume or a Kalitas on the end. Wow, and I'm not quite sure what that card is. I think that's Sickening. That's Living Wish, actually, getting deployed from Patrick Daly. And of course, Living Wish is a fantastic card. Finds a land or any land or any creature card from the graveyard, from your sideboard, and puts it directly into your hand. So Living Wish, of course, is an interesting card that gets deployed here, and Greg actually thinking about if he should force a will or not, and he's going to go ahead and do so. So that Living Wish getting force willed by Greg, and I think the turn is going to get shipped back to him. It looks like absolutely it is. We're going to see an Entomb from Greg, potentially either probably grabbing Gristlebrand is the primary target here. As Patrick Daly, so there it is.
Patrick Daly, no force of will in a Nicole Fit deck.
Yeah, unlikely. And I just think that it's going to be an Animate Dead and Gristlebrand time.
Just like the classic blue-black Reanimator of yore.
Yes, sir. Oh, that's a fatal push. So that's what that card is, of course. An Animate Dead coming down from Greg. He's just going to go ahead and pass. I think he really just wants to ramp up and have a ton of mana, a ton of interaction here. I wonder if Patrick can win from here. That's the real question.
There's a
Pernicious
Pernicious Deed,
Deed.
and that can take care of that Animate Dead, but only in a couple turns.
Yeah,
Only
I
next
think
turn.
Patrick's like one turn away, which is
Yeah.
unfortunate.
Nope.
So Greg's going to go ahead and draw 7 at the end of turn and potentially draw 7 more. I think this is just going to be a quick one.
This might even be in response to this Pernicious Deed.
Yeah. But either way, Greg's going to go ahead and untap and have a turn with Griselbrand at the very least. He's at 9. He could potentially go down to 2. I don't think he's facing like an Arroyo Bee Sting or anything like that. That would be pretty unreal if that happened.
2 meta. There's a brainstorm from Greg.
I think Arroyo Bee Sting
Force
is
of will among the cards, so that's
Yeah.
definitely forces Pernicious Deed, and that's going to be it for this game. Likely, Arroyo Bee Sting is
sorcery. I think it's 3 mana for 2 damage. Pretty cool though.
Nope. So no force. Pernicious Deed
The
does
attack,
resolve.
yeah, and I think it might be. I wonder if Greg has the infinite damage combo here, or infinite cards, I guess, infinite card draw. He probably could just go 7 more deep and win the game.
Right. I think maybe he just knows that he has a Necromancy in hand.
Yeah.
And now an Animate Dead, and he's okay with letting this Animate Dead get wrecked. Just reanimate again.
All right, looking through the cards, the deck for Greg, I think he's just going to pull out another duel. I don't see why not. He might need triple black though. I guess that's what he's considering here.
Yeah, I think a duel is the right choice.
He just keeps on
unless
looking
he
through the
needs that
same
triple.
part of his deck.
Okay, well, there I saw the Underground Sea.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure. Oh, Badlands.
Badlands.
Got
Looking
it.
for that Badlands. Here comes in Snapcaster Mage. Gonna
Oh,
him.
wow. That's pretty nasty.
Oh. Double Arena Rector. Bye-bye.
Wow, that was
Pernicious
tough.
Deed is all Patrick Daly has on his side of the board.
And what's crazy is if that Arena Rector were to get fired off, he potentially could have stolen Griselbrand with Nicol Bolas. So that's just what happens sometimes.
Oh, boy.
So some spicy plays.
And Greg showing flexing the muscle of the Grixis World Gorger.
Yeah, I think he's more flexing the muscle of Griselbrand.
Animate Dead targeting
Yeah,
Griselbrand
Animate
after
Dead
an
on
Entomb.
Griselbrand, which is
Yeah.
fine.
Yeah.
That's part of the mechanics of the deck. And actually, I remember Greg was telling me at one point the reason why he didn't really enjoy this deck too much is it felt like most of the time everything was kind of marginal, and he would just go for Griselbrand most of the time.
Uh-huh.
Anyways,
So Patrick Daly pops that Pernicious Deed, clears the board, and Greg Mitchell starts with 7 cards in his hand. Patrick Daly has none, and they both have
starts
some
anew.
lands in play. So this is like a Shahrazad, but you get to start with 7.
It
Your
kind of
opponent
reminds
starts with 0.
it kind of reminds me of ultimating Karn.
Yeah.
Right, ultimating Karn, starting the game over,
Yeah.
and then your Karn just comes back, or like you have like other permanents in play,
Right.
that Karn removed. So
Yeah. I think Patrick is generally a never say die kind of person.
Oh yeah,
So
absolutely.
doesn't ever forfeit. But I'm pretty sure this is a situation where you can confidently forfeit the game.
You know what's crazy is I have seen Patrick and Greg play before.
Yeah.
And their games are always like the most insane thing I've ever seen. I've seen like Patrick hardcast some of his enchantments from this deck.
Mm-hmm.
Just like, and they just end up on the battlefield, and I'm like, wow, I have no idea how that ever happens. But it just does, it's crazy.
Like Overwhelming Splendor hardcast.
Oh yeah, I've seen that happen.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah, Dovescape.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Anyways, so we're going to go ahead and see some interaction here from Greg as he's going to regrow. Sorry, not regrow. Raise Dead his Snapcaster Mage. A couple Snapcaster Mages in hand for Greg, and I think it's just going to be a land, snap, snap, blam, blam.
Snapcaster Mage. And
Yeah, got some spells to cast, I suppose.
let's find an Entomb.
Yeah, sure.
Let's find a...
Entomb. Yeah, and Patrick's saying I've got no permanents in play. Here comes Dragon.
There's World Gorger Dragon. And Patrick, being the Aficionado he is.
That's Exile, man.
Yeah, that's Exile.
Yes, sir.
Patrick, being the aficionado he is, knows this World Gorger Dragon combo. I mean, that sounds like something that Patrick would have played.
Yeah,
Right.
absolutely. He would have played this.
Yeah. And Greg's got the combo in hand, I believe. I don't know.
Almost certainly. Yeah, he's got the dragon in the bin. So it's going to be Animate Dead time. Oh, man, a nice black border version.
Animate Dead.
Infinite.
Target World Gorger Dragon.
Bloop, 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 bloop.
World Gorger Dragon's going to exile everything, untap my
Activate.
lands.
Untap, retap. Yep.
And
Oh, and what's crazy about this is now that he's going to make a bunch of Snapcaster triggers.
yeah.
And he's going to get a flashback a bunch of things. And he can
Oh,
actually like target Snapcaster Mage or target Gristlebrand at the end of the loop. So he's going to make infinite mana, have his whole graveyard flashbackable.
Yeah. And Greg's going to be able to cast all the brainstorms.
Oh, he's going to kill him with. Oh, no, he can't kill him with Colgan's command.
No. He can't.
But he can just cast all the spells. It's like infinite. What's it called? It's like Mizzix's Mastery. This is what it's like.
Mizzix's Mastery, yeah.
Yeah, Mizzix's Mastery.
So not sure. Greg's kind of trying to explain a win condition, but I'm not sure what it is. What
Yeah.
he's trying to explain. He's just showing him I've got all this stuff. I'm going to be able to draw my whole deck. And,
Yeah, well, I mean, Patrick's going to make him do it.
yeah,
Yeah,
I
of
think
course.
so. Like I
Of
said,
course.
Patrick's a never say die guy.
Yeah.
Um,
There's some weird stuff happening here.
yeah. Are there any deck lists? Nicole Fit sounds insanely spicy.
Well, I mean, it is spicy. Like, we're getting, it's a little hot over here in the booth, I have to say. It's crazy.
All right, so Patrick Daly is saying, go ahead and do whatever you want, but I want to see the kill. I'm going to make infinite mana too, he says.
Yeah.
Says, okay. I got
So
infinite
brainstorm in response.
mana. So Greg's going to brainstorm. Okay. Just looking for that stroke.
Yeah, I think so, but he hasn't played instant speed.
Right.
So he's going to flashback all these brainstorms.
Patrick asking for clarification. When does the World Gorger
Yeah,
Dragon
in
come
response to
in?
World Gorger. Yeah.
When do you have a chance to do it? Yep.
This is pretty glorious.
No, that's cool. Ponder.
No way to shuffle. Oh, you can into him, I guess. Yeah, just flashback all these brainstorms.
Yeah.
He draws a third card down every turn.
Yeah. And he's got brainstorm in
Oh,
hand.
that was
So-
weird. Yeah.
Oh.
And is he going to stop the loop? Maybe.
Okay.
He could stop the loop. He has infinite mana now.
Okay. Oh yeah, still during one main phase, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
So Dragon. Oh, he's going to have Dragon in play. And then Dragon's going to leave there. And then Amide's going to come back and target something else.
Yeah.
Because he can target his enemy. He could actually target the Rectors from Patrick's deck.
Oh gosh.
He could just do all
That's
sorts.
so funny.
Yeah, and Gristlebrand now.
Okay, so he's gonna target Grizzle.
Yes. So
Yeah.
the big Grizz is going to go ahead and draw 7. We're looking for Stroke of Genius with infinite mana floating.
Yeah. 1, 2, 3,
4,
4, 5, 6, 7.
We're counting them out.
We can count, guys.
He's lining them up. He's laying them down. And
There
there's
is the stroke of
And
genius. Bye-bye, Patrick Daly, says Greg Mitchell. World Gorger Dragon is going to win this game for Greg Mitchell. But we're moving on to game 2, folks. That's right. That's not it for Legacy action tonight. We've got at least one more game to go. Patrick Daly on Nicole Fit against
Man.
Greg Mitchell with Grixis World Gorger, featuring Jace and Baleful Strix.
featuring Grixis Control.
featuring Grixis. Yeah.
Featuring, not only do you get the power of infinite damage, but you also get the power of 2-for-1 Central.
2 for 1s. Folks, we're gonna stand up for this game.
Oh baby, we're gonna get into it real quick.
Let's bring this. Let's bring the action, folks. We want a record. We want people to know when Jordan and Michael broadcast. You get the best. You get the finest. This isn't just Magic anymore. This is beyond Magic.
This is an experience. If you're tuning in at home, this is what it's all about.
This is what it's all about. Okay, I just turned down our mic output because things are about to get loud.
And they're gonna get crazy.
It's gonna get wild.
I think so. I mean, we're in the middle of a sideboarding, and I'm already anticipating what cards are coming in. We're
I
gonna
am
see
so
a
hyped.
lot of graveyard hate. Gotta be.
So much graveyard hate.
And I bet you.
Patrick Daly could have surgicals. 4.
Well, I think Patrick Daly is one of those guys. He would love to have multiple copies of Leyline, White Leyline. He loves White Leyline. It's gonna happen.
Man.
We're gonna see Greg Mitchell. I mean, there's a good percentage chance that Greg has a whole nother strategy in his sideboard. Like, I'm not even kidding.
You're right.
Sure.
We could look. He's taking out all of his fatal pushes, of course. Right. He's
Oh
gonna,
yeah. I mean, what do you need those for?
He's gonna take. He doesn't need these pyroblasts.
Mm-mm.
Don't need those. Boy, oh boy, can Patrick Daly take a game off of Greg Mitchell? I think Nicole Fit generally behind the 8 ball against a deck like this.
Yeah, I think the only way he can really do well is if he gets off to a really explosive start with one of his rectors and just kind of starts dealing a lot of damage to his opponent.
Yeah.
You know, either attacking the hand with Nicol Bolas Planeswalker, or I think is that the one that attacks the hand? Nicol Bolas God Pharaoh, that's the one that attacks the hand.
Yeah.
Or the other, or just have a big enchantment that really just shuts down Greg's plan.
Yeah. Yeah.
And Overwhelming Splendor could do that. Certainly could.
You know what'd be cool, man?
What's up?
You know what's cool? Think about this.
Okay.
Think about this. Think about this.
What am I thinking about here?
War of the Planeswalkers. War of the Spark, excuse me. War of the
Okay.
Spark. 32 new Planeswalkers.
Uh-oh.
Get this.
Uh-oh.
Arena Rector has 32 new targets in Nicole Fit.
You're
Nicole
smart.
Fit, new tier 1 deck.
You're smart, man.
New tier 1
I
deck.
kind of hope not, specifically because the way that
Excuse me,
Nick Fit
36. Corrected
Yeah.
by chat. Thank you so much.
plays, specifically because
Duel
the
2.
way that Nick Fit plays is kind of uninteractive, and they just go as big as humanly possible.
Right.
And it's scary.
Is
That's scary, dude.
Is there going to be a new Nicole Bolas that's even bigger than the current?
There could be
the
a
current
I
crop?
mean, if there's a 10-mana walker, that's going to be crazy.
Is there going to be a new Ugin that's bigger
But
than
I-
the current Ugin?
But here's the thing. I don't think that the Nick Fit deck has a problem with winning after it sacks its rector. Right? You see what I'm saying? I think that they're going to have trouble getting to that rector spot.
Okay. Okay.
You know, maybe
Okay.
I'm hating.
But look, there's some percentage of games
That's
where
true.
Arena Rector goes to the graveyard and Nicole Fit does not win. And if they have a better Planeswalker target,
they win those games.
those games are
That's
winning.
true. I'm not going to disagree.
Bigger Ugin, bigger Nicole Bolas.
Jeez. If they get a bigger,
What if it was like a huge, like, ascended Jace?
I don't know. That sounds. I don't know.
What if there's some kind of god tier Jace that costs like 9 mana?
They're not going to. They hate blue.
5 and 4 blue
Oh,
for a
man.
god tier Jace.
What does it do? Like super brainstorm, draw 5, put 3 back. That's just like an insane
No,
thing.
for 5 and 4 blue. Unless you like dig through time +1.
Oh my
dig
goodness.
through time +1.
Not likely.
Plus
But-
1 dig through time. Okay,
Anyways.
let's go. Game 2, folks. Greg Mitchell, Patrick Daly facing off. Grixis World Gorger, gonna keep the 7, looks like, and we are going down to 6 for Patrick Daly. Wow.
And I think he's going to be looking for his premier cards, the cards that line up well versus Greg. And of course, I mean Patrick's kind of he's going to be struggling to be interactive with Greg, specifically because Greg's like a full turn faster, maybe a couple turns faster.
Yeah.
That being said, once the game state enters into a position where Patrick can really control what's happening on Greg's end of the table, Greg, it's going to be lights out. Absolutely going to be lights out.
All right, Patrick Daly likely mulliganing to his hate cards.
Yeah.
Not sure which they are. Could be White Ley Line.
Could be white. I mean, White Leyline unforceable, and you see the cards in Greg's hand. A couple Force of Wills, right?
Beat
I mean,
those
geez.
Stroke of Geniuses, huh?
Yeah, look at that. Oh wow, yeah, White Leyline destroy Stroke. I think at that point, Greg would have to like stroke himself to figure out how to win.
Arena Rector in the hand. Cabal Therapy as
Ball
well.
therapy would be a good one, but
We're gonna
that's not
ship
good
it
enough.
back. Patrick Daly has to go down to 5. How legendary would this be if Patrick comes out on top in game 2 on a mold of 5?
That would. I mean, here's the thing though. Both decks are relatively polarized as far as what they want to do.
Yeah.
So if Patrick's hand lines up well with Greg's, it's certainly possible. You know, with the magnitude of hate cards that Patrick's potentially bringing for this matchup, it's possible.
How
We could see that.
How wild is it that Greg Mitchell is playing a deck that has Necromancy and Kolaghan's Command somehow?
Yeah, that's a little crazy.
Wow.
I will say that that's a little insane.
Unreal.
But-
Unreal.
You know,
But you know what? He's phase on mute.
from the mechanical perspective, it could be crazier. You know, like there's always it's a spectrum, right?
Sure.
Like it could be further
Oh
along the
no!
line.
Mulligan to 4 for Patrick Daly.
Man, we were excited. I'm still excited.
I'm still excited.
Listen,
I'm still excited.
Angels in the outfield, dude.
Yeah.
It could happen.
Joseph Gordon-Levitt,
Joseph Gordon-Levitt.
big time.
Yeah.
Christopher Lloyd.
Yeah, you know what? Here's a question. If you guys are fans of 90s era kids baseball movies, vote now. What's better? Angels in the Outfield or The Sandlot?
Dude, that's got to be your next poll.
Nah, I already did Sandlot versus Mighty Ducks.
Oh,
And
you did?
everybody knows that Sandlot won versus Mighty Ducks because there's no way Mighty Ducks would ever win.
Uh,
It's just true. The Sandlot would always win.
ooh,
It's always,
KCCCC with a Rookie of the Year.
ooh,
Vote. I like that one, Casey. Sandlot.
Sandlot.
Everyone's going
yeah,
for the
couple
Sandlot.
I mean,
Okay,
Sandlot's a good
okay.
movie. It's a good
Rookie
movie,
of the Year.
man.
I think the Rookie of the Year might be a write-in winner. JGL owns Power. That's true. He does. He's got four. He's got 4 Moxen, man.
Wait, really?
He's got 4. He sold his Mox Jet.
So why does he own Power?
He's got 4
Sure.
Moxen, and he's got them in binders. And the
He
Moxen,
plays Magic?
he played Magic.
My brain just-
Cabal Therapy.
I'm gonna have a stroke.
So yeah, guys,
Genius.
we gotta go for Angels in the Outfield. Just and there's
Cabal
the hand.
Therapy. There it goes.
Oh,
Fired
let's take
away.
this him instantly, right?
Oh man, I think he just
Oh.
missed with the Cabal. Unfortunately,
Oh,
he's got 2
no.
cards, but that's okay. You know what? You know
Oh.
what? You know what? That's okay. We have a sack outlet in the bin. This game can turn on its head. You watch. You wait.
I don't, with or without plan, I don't know who you are, but calling us out standing and we don't. You know why we're standing, guys? Because we want to deliver the best commentary possible on this match.
Because we're excited. We're excited to bring you some hard-hitting legacy action. The hardest-hitting legacy action.
Every
right now.
single Monday night, and here we go. Greg Mitchell shuffling off this ponder. Underground C was the play. It's tapped now. Patrick Daly on turn 2. Taking a look at the draw. The Desolate Lighthouse.
Oh, that's a living wish right there. And guess what?
Living-
Last time,
Uh-huh.
Greg was straight up. He force-willed without even seeing what potential targets Patrick
No
could get.
force this time. Not even sure what Patrick got. He flashes
Yeah.
so fast.
What'd you get?
Was it?
What'd you get?
Veteran Explorer?
It could be, but that also ramps out Greg Mitchell a little bit, so you got to be careful.
Oh, there goes the hymn to Turok, and maybe Patrick just got something to put in the bin for some reason.
Yeah,
right?
that's a possibility. That's a possibility.
Okay.
Oh, that's a good draw.
Turn
That's
3.
actually a good draw.
Land drop for Patrick. Okay.
If Patrick finds another land, I mean, his mana base is looking stellar right there. He's got one of each duel.
All right. Let's see.
Counter
Is
from
Patrick
Greg.
still in this at all? Desolate Lighthouse is the
Wow.
play.
Surgical extraction for Greg. He's just playing the no fun game right here. He's about ready to have no fun. And to be honest, he was having all the fun last game. He was
Mhm.
doing all the things. He was doing crazy stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But we got Greg. We got K Command Double Force, Surgical.
Blank check. What a movie. Oh, there's an upkeep.
Colgan's
Excuse me,
command.
draw step Colgan's command. No chance for Patrick to even play that land. Patrick is twiddling his thumbs. Doesn't Patrick wish he had the London Mulligan rule right now?
Don't do that.
The London Mulligan rule.
I don't know. I guess so. He got the scry card.
Flubber. Man, you guys are naming the best 90s movie, Surf Ninjas.
I don't know what that is. Surf Ninjas? Is that like the 3 little ninjas? Is that a spin-off?
No. 3 Ninjas and
Three
Surf
Ninjas.
Ninjas are 2 different movies.
Well, 3 Ninjas was a good movie too. Okay, listen.
Living Wish on the top off this Jace. Jace with the Fate Seal. And, there's that hate Patrick was looking for.
Is that it?
That's Leyline of the Void.
Yikes! He was
Man,
going for
he
it.
was,
He was
really
digging for
looking
it.
for it. But you know what's funny is that he still would have just lost to this Jace.
Yeah,
If he
yeah,
had
and
found
that's
it.
that's what we're saying is, I mean,
Yeah.
the deck attacks a couple of different axes.
And that's kind of the whole point of these Greg Mitchell designed hybrid decks,
Jeez.
right?
Yeah, he can win a couple different ways. And I think so. One of the things I was gonna say before the round started, that's one of the things. That's what it's about. You know, if you're a grinder, if you're someone that's in the trenches, in the pits fighting, really what it's about. It's not really about like you can have the best strategy, you can have the best deck, but you just need to figure out a way to win. Like when it comes down to it, and you're sitting
Sure.
down versus your opponent,
Collective brutality on top.
Scrap it out. Like
Yeah.
you might win, you might lose. Just figure it out.
Yeah.
You know, your strategy might be thrown off. Your opponent might have you in a really awkward spot. Just keep on playing. You never know.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, that's what Patrick's doing. He's
Yeah.
playing it out. There's a collective
Absolutely. There's a little
brutality.
Seabrute
Gonna
there.
pitch the hate, the ley line of the void, hitting the
Yeah.
graveyard. Force of will, hard cast from Greg Mitchell. You're not gonna collective brutality me, he says. And Schneff calling you out, bro, Jordan. How do you not? There's a Kevin
Wow,
Souls for Petra.
I
How do you
feel
not know
bad.
that Surf
That's-
Ninjas? Surf Ninjas, dude.
I don't know about Surf Ninjas.
And you know 3 Ninjas?
I know. Well, of course, that's like the better movie.
And there's the handshake from
All
Patrick
right.
Daly. Greg Mitchell's going to win Game 2 and the match, and that means that Grixis...
We just collided.
We collided. Grixis World Gorger featuring Jace and Strix goes 4-0 on the night. Unbelievable magic on the night.
That's the magic.
So fun.
Oh
Man.
my goodness, that was cool. I have to say, we got to see a bunch of really cool decks tonight.
Those were sweet decks.
Good ones.
All of them. All of them. Every match was a hit.
Well represented community. Absolutely.
Every match was a hit. Let's go back to the booth, folks. And we've got Michael Tessier, Jordan Isaka. Kind of messed up our system here.
Yeah, our
Our
little
situation,
stream thing. We're
yeah.
doing good. We're doing good.
We got hyped. We stood up for that match. We wanted to make sure that there's nothing impeding us from
Yeah,
delivering the best energy to folks at home. Hey, you know what? Thank you so much for watching. Thanks for tuning in for these 4 rounds of Legacy action. We do this every single Monday night, so if you enjoyed what you saw, make sure you hit that follow button or subscribe. It means a lot to us that you'll tune in with us and watch Legacy.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, we got to talk about a lot of cool Legacy topics tonight, too.
All right,
And,
Mike T, I got one question for you before you sign off.
all right.
Who do you got winning your NCAA bracket? Do you have your home school?
I haven't filled it out yet.
Okay.
Um,
How happy were you when didn't you go to Villanova?
yeah,
Didn't you do commentary for Villanova basketball?
I did. Yeah, I did announcing. Yeah.
How proud were you when they won the national championship?
Yeah, I mean,
That's kind of cool, right?
feels good.
You were around that whole,
Feels
you know,
good. You know, honestly,
that program?
what feels even cooler is seeing the guys that I would see like week after week,
Yeah.
or game after game, like up close and like talking with them and stuff like that. You know, seeing like Kyle Lowry,
Yo, yeah.
like be a big time, like an actual star in the NBA. Like that part, that's what is actually
Okay.
really
Yeah,
cool to me.
that's
'cause
cool.
Those are the people that I developed a relationship with, had a community with.
Nice games.
Greg Mitchell giving us the thumbs up. Weird flex, Grixis Dragon.
And Patrick Daly giving them the okay sign. It was cool to watch you guys battle.
Patrick Daly.
Unfortunately, looking for the hate.
Stunk.
Yeah, it's
But even
okay.
still, like, I have very few ways to beat that deck.
Of course, of course.
Anyway, folks at home, make sure you tune in next week when we bring you 4 more rounds of Legacy action. Thank you so much for watching. For Michael Tessier, Jordan Isaka, see you guys next week.
Have a nice night, guys.